All right, let me get this changed up. My microphone's in my way here. Let's just get this a little changed up. I'm holding on. Hold on, folks. I don't know, this was like last minute. Now we got Seven Nation Army playing. Let's just put on. All right. Oh, what a shitty introduction that was. Oh, man, I'm just having some fun today, ladies and gentlemen. This was a last minute thing for me to come on here. So welcome out to another episode of Decode Your Reality and What's Your Question. This is number 35, and I wasn't even planning on doing this. I'm like, man, I had a headache earlier, and after doing the podcast with Santos, all that great information I got downloaded from Ken Wheeler. God. And then I was coming home, and I'm just like, let's go hang out with some decoders and some great minds, and here I am. So it was a spur of the moment kind of thing. I put together this thing really quickly. So welcome out, everybody, to another Saturn day, moving into Sunday. I don't know how long this is going to go. Completely going to improv this like I always do. But I just thought I'd come on here because we were just over with the great Ken Wheeler. This was the first time I was able to actually join with any discussion live with him, which was, I was quite starstruck in a way because he's such a smart guy and I'm attracted to intelligence. But so many downloads with the talks about magnetism, and man, I just had so many downloads, and I just wanted to share a few if you were there, but even if you weren't, you'll still get this piece of the transmission. So again, the reason why I'm wearing sunglasses is having fun. It's Saturday night. It's time for partying. As Elton John said, this obviously, I'm not doing this to try to, do Rico Suave stuff here. I'm doing it because to me, this represents, wearing sunglasses represents the simulation, being in the movie, and how much of a comical joke this reality is. And I say that with a light heart because I know there are people in this world, a lot, therefore, that are not able to comfortably sit down and say, man, I really like life around me, right? And I don't know why that is. Why did they get that code? Why did I get my code? Why did you get your code? But what matters is what you do with your code. Why did you get your code? Like where you're at right now, where you're sitting, enjoying this transmission with all of us here, all you great decoders around the world, using this amazing technology, what does your code look like right now? Are you up, down, happy, sad, depressed, angry, resentful? Are we using the eagle, the ego, the primal, the dragon below? Or are you gonna raise that kundalini and come up and hang out in La La Land? So it's really interesting. So big shout outs to the Syncretism Society and of course my great friend Santos Bonacci. Big shout out to Ken Wheeler. Go subscribe to his channel if you're really a scientific mind and you want to learn more about the properties of, he's got so many videos that are, Anyway, check out Ken Wheeler, his channel. Just go type in Ken Wheeler underneath the search box for YouTube and you'll find his channel. I thought it was really funny. His name's Ken and he lives in Kentucky. See, that's part of his script. It's just comical when you look at that stuff. I don't know if you ever knew that, but I threw that out there. I thought it was just funny. I was just on a roll tonight a little bit. So, how is everybody doing here? Thanks for joining me. We're going to roll this right into Sunday and whatever goes in this What's Your Question? Going to dump some information out on all of you. And you're going to dump some information out on me, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So I wanted to just start off with a little bit of health real quick. And, health is really easy when you stick with the basics. And what I mean by that, like tonight, before I went on this podcast, I was hungry and I decided to have this watermelon that I bought at the grocery store just a few days ago. That's a meal to me, right? Just slicing up. And it was like this big, but I had half of it. And here, here's a piece of it right here. And what's interesting about watermelon is that it's loaded with a vitamin called citrulline malate, or at least a natural kind of compound. It's all over my. And citrulline malate is a vasodilator, meaning that it makes the blood move quicker in a basic sense. And that's because it's red. So when we look at these fruits, if you're having issues with your blood, then start drinking beet, carrot juice, and watermelon juice, and that's going to help your blood. I don't know to what extent. I'm not here to give you any medical advice on that. I'm just purely throwing out the color spectrum and how all we got to do is look at that and heal our bodies. The word blood is the number 23 in numerology, just like the word history, just like the word crown, and the blood is red, and it's the lifeline of the body. And it's, if you really look at the chakras, it sits at the root position. So everything, what I learned today when Ken Wheeler, when he's talking about magnetism, it's just like, if you could just imagine this cube right here being the earth plane, and the earth is, their magnetic fields, but we live in the Pandora's box, and everything comes down. It goes down. It's like down heavy. And then it bows out like an apple does, like Ken explained. But the blood really, if the heart wasn't there, it would all fall down to your feet because of the way this reality works. But the blood is really the foundation of who you are, and it's tied to your first house in astrology. And that is going to represent your ego personality, your primal, where the dragon hangs out at the anus, at the tailbone, which is tied to Scorpio, which has the tailbone in the zodiac sign, and all that fun stuff. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Those of you that have, issues with your blood, besides changing your eating habits, start drinking some more beet juice and watermelon juice and carrot juice and red apples and see what happens. Just stick with the colors. And then you can put some ginger in there and some, it's the reason why cayenne pepper is red, heats things up, gets things moving. Cayenne pepper is really good for the circulation. So these are all layered in red, the color red. And I thought it was really interesting. And, red's number 1, the first color. It can also be color number 7 if you flip the rainbow and observe the red at the top, at the crown. So it'd be red or violet, either or, depending on your vantage point. But I thought these are really interesting with just not the foods in our culture that we use. All right, so thanks everybody for joining. First, I wanted to let's give some big shout outs to my family. My family, my blood family. I have family in South Carolina, and my sister lives in Massachusetts. And then I have family spread everywhere, but those are my that's my main family, my closest link family. And then there's my decoding family. And a large portion of you are part of that. So a big shout out to all of you. And then the close people that I work with, or at least share space with and create things from, is, and this is in no particular order. Of course, Syncretism Society, I was just with them, the great Santos Bonacci, Danny, and Ricardo, and Anne Marie, and everybody involved, all the syncretists there and the instructors. And then, my great friend Jordan over at Waters Above Crypto. What a blessing he has been, his voice on the world stage. Please go subscribe to his channel. Even if you're not into crypto, every Friday night he does his own live YouTube, and his voice is, I don't know, it's just amazing, and it's in a league of its own. His thought processes are quite mesmerizing. A big shout out to Nigel and Harry over at Devil's Playground. Nigel's in China, Harry's in Southern California. They come together, they do their podcasts, and everybody that's involved with those people, and they're decoding. Great decoders like, Kevin and I just lost my train of thought. Kevin and Ethan and a few others. I know there's a lot of great decoders that really are maybe don't ever comment, but I just know the ones that really send me information that's pretty standout. And a big shout out and a big shout out to all of you. I mean, I'm not just trying to single people out. These are just people that come to my mind. I have a lot of people that email me, that send me great emails that are very thought-provoking, and I appreciate them all. And it's tough to get through them all. So even if you don't get a long response, I'm not a big fan of email. I've mentioned that so many times because it takes so far. I would never get anything done. So I have to comment. If I do, they're very short. Don't take that as an offensive measure of mine. It's just that I can't get to all the emails. And then, big shout out to Jason from Archaic. So this guy's exploding on the scene. He's into the simulation theory. He's a chronologist. He's a historian. Spent a lot of time in the library studying books for 10, 12 hours a day, longer, for many, many, many years. And he's now sharing all that information that he has, gotten over the years to this decoding reality, even though he didn't think it would turn into that, he said. But Big shout out to Archaic, did a huge podcast. Thanks everybody to join in for that podcast. Simulation Theory Decoded. It's blowing up as it should. He deserves the recognition. He's just like killing it right now. And he had to come on with a video saying, hey guys, I got to tone it down a little bit because I got a life to live. And that's what happens when everybody wants your attention, is you can quickly blow up, and then you may end up riding that wave, and then you have to sacrifice something to ride that wave. And sometimes you don't want to do that. So big shout out to Jason from Archaic. I can't wait to do a part 2. I know we're going to do that. I'm going to get more prepared for my questions. It was completely improv, as I always do. And then I wanted to also encourage all of you, if you have not done so yet, I have my alternate YouTube channel called Cosmic Sugar, and it may be a little bit more challenging to find. I'm going to try to pin this in the comments as we go along, or maybe somebody can. Cosmic Sugar is my other YouTube channel. I just kind of released it not too long ago. I released my first podcast on that today with Greg, the Hydrogen Man, talking about molecular hydrogen. My Cosmic Sugar YouTube channel is going to be exclusively interviewing healers, from the physical to the mental, to psychics, to Reiki practitioners, you name it under the sun, anything in that spectrum of the metaphysical, I will be talking about it along down into the physical. No decoding really over there, although it will bleed into that, but I really want to highlight some of these natural healers or people that are really well versed in the medical field that can help you get over your challenges that you have and you're faced with in this day and age, because we are in the information age. One of the benefits of moving into the age of Aquarius, a lot of us think that's what's happening, is that we'll be going to be bombarded by a ton of information. There will be no more secrets, and when there's no more secrets, you learn these ideas that have been kept from you, and you're able to fast track your health and your knowledge and your wealth in every single area, and that perhaps is the precursor to moving into what has been coined the golden age. Very, very possible. So stay tuned for that. But big shout out. So go subscribe over to Jason over at Archaic, and give him the love he deserves. He's, so far, man, he's just dumping some information out that, man, it goes along with my research. So I love it. It's like getting candy fed to me as a kid, So that's kind of what he's got going on here. So let's get into some of your comments. I do have some brief things I'm going to show you on what I'm working on right now. The current decode that's going to be up next for all of you will be on the Great Mason Manly Palmer Hall. Manly P Hall is what he went by. I have a decode coming out, man, on that guy, and of course his most famous book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And what I'm about to show you, let me see my sneak peek. Let me just double check. Yeah, I'm going to show you 2 slides or 3 slides from my sneak peek of Manly P Hall right here on What's Your Question, number 35. And I'm going to show you how it's tied into a television show and a book on the world stage that clearly defines exactly what Manly P Hall was talking about and why he was given this information, how he got it. And these are going to be purely based upon mythology and theories. But once you start to see this is the script that has been written into the simulation, the reality that we're all playing out called life. These are all stories written in as characters. These characters, like you and I, we have scripts to follow. And when we come out, I believe anyway, these are my beliefs, when we come out with a new book or a new movie or a decode or a documentary, or this is part of our script, and we are being used to make these layers, these fractals down from this thing we call life. Because everything that man makes is known as artificial. So if you're going to make a movie, you put it on the movie screen, that's a fractal down. One of the reasons why I have myself showing up in this transmission in a television screen is to show all of you that I'm a fractal down from where you're at. Even though we're in real life, so to speak, we call it real life, but you're watching me through a television screen, and the visions that you're seeing on the computer, cell phone screen, or television screen is created by light. And then that light has to be organized. It has to be told what to do. And it does. And it's coming through it's a very complex transmission. because it has to process. My voice has to process, which is frequency and sound. It has to process the colors. It has to process my background. All these layers are operating at the same exact time, and they are broadcasting through YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. And they're delivering it to wherever your final destination is. Folks, that's like miracle stuff, right? If you were to tell somebody this would happen, maybe 500 years ago, whatever that looked like, in the early 1900s, because Jason from Archaic says that kind of the reset, I would imagine the Phoenix event was in 1902, around there. And if that was like wiping the board clean and starting over from scratch, if you compare 1902 to right now, obviously we're living in a very dark dystopian kind of world in a lot of ways. Not everybody is living that way, but you can see the cancer in life. But if you go all the way back to 1902, and you start there, it was a much simpler way of life. They didn't have things such as cell phones, televisions like we do today. The technology, they didn't have that. So you can see where technology through time, which is technology is Satan. It's the god of time. Time creates technology, which ends up killing mankind because we end up going into this stuff and it takes our energy and we just disappear. Something to that effect, right? I'm being super abstract, because I believe we're living in a simulation, we're living in a movie, and you're just playing out your script that was written for you before you ever got here. Can you become consciously aware of your script? I guess that's possible. But at that same time, I'm aware that I'm living in a programmed script, and yet I can show you time and time again how things just are completely scripted for me when I decode them. I'm going to be coming out with the behind the scenes of this simulation theory decoded with me and Jason to show you the connections him and I had, the timestamp on the video. It's just insane the things I can show you that is what I call the source code playing out, and then we're just having to follow instructions. It's amazing how this source code just keeps showing itself to me. And you got to look for it, right? It's not just going to say, knock on your door and say, hey, I'm here. Hey, I want to talk to you. No, you got to investigate. And that's called biting the apple. That's what it means, is investigating the operating mechanics of how this reality works. All right. Manly P. Hall gives good info but leads one thought astray. Well, Emmanuel, good comment. I guess it will depend on the observer, right? And really, I think there's a lot of truth to that, because you got to make the truth your own, ladies and gentlemen. You're not going to pick up a book and say, yeah, I agree with everything in there. I'm sure there's something you don't agree with, or something you like, nah. Maybe there's some of you that are exceptions and you write a book and you're like, I believe everything in that book. There is anything in there that I don't believe. Well, I guess I stand corrected, because there is a book, or there are books on the world stage where people believe every single word, and that's the Bible, that's the Quran, that's the Upanishads. Some people in cultures, specific cultures, believe word for word these ancient texts. So I just correct myself. Yeah, so if you, thanks Christine, please get over to my Cosmic Sugar and go subscribe. I'm going to be coming out with more content on there. If you're into health and wellness and, alternative healing modalities, we're just talking about healing with magnets. I am going to be jumping into that. Supermagnetman.com or Supermagnetman on YouTube. I'm going to go be researching. It's one of Ken Wheeler's really good friends. You better believe I'm going to be on that. See, magnets, they're so interesting. They're so easy, because on one side of the magnet, if you have even a cube, the top is a receiver, meaning that the energy goes in, and then the bottom is a producer or a releaser, and it dumps it out. So it just goes through the magnet, which is how I believe Earth works. But it goes both ways, which is why grounding works. If you go outside and put your feet on the ground, you're absorbing something that's coming through the earth. But there's also something going out the other side, and that's where you're going to get your magnetic field lines. I had asked Ken about that. I didn't really want to put him on the spot too much with my crazy mad scientist abstract thinking, but in the field lines of the torus fields, you're going to have one field line that is going to be the very first one, I would think, and that's the one that it creates the C on two sides. And anyway, it creates a push-pull, a symbiotic relationship that ends up becoming life as we know it in this reality. However, light fits in there, and electricity and all that kind of stuff, the electromagnetic frequencies. Jimmy Freeway, like to hear your take on this. Is moral subjective and it depends on man's opinion about it, or is objective law that is? Well, I'm going to simplify it for you. I'm going to simplify all the objective, subjective. Okay? Everything's run by one thing. Two sides of the same coin. So you can argue or philosophize on something being objective in every single facet of life, or at least, therefore, the majority of things, and then you can say they're subjective as well and place those on these same nouns or titles or things that we end up observing in life. But ultimately, they are two sides of the same coin, and they will be ruled over. And that's where you're going to get your trinity, your pyramid shape. That's where you're going to get this right here. Right there. You're going to get it from those two, and they're going to go right to the point. Olivia, can you do some videos on crystals? Yes, I can. I love crystals. We've got my friend Gabrielle makes bracelets and has made a lot for me over the years. I have some really cool ones. I don't really like them that much because I don't know, they end up bugging me after a while. But I wear them for fun, and I like beads and colors. And then I do have my pyramids here, my whatever. God, I can't even think of the damn stone this is. Some of you will know what I'm talking about. But I have my pyramids here, and then I have my square, and I have my pendulum. I have a amethyst pendulum I use for dowsing. I love crystals. Crystals are awesome, especially dowsing. Dowsing's fun. Oh, Ken Ruler just went live too. Interesting. Yeah, so let me get to the graphic here. Let me show you guys real quick, just so you can see. There it is. So the reason why I chose pink is I try to keep these color coordinated. And the 35, as you know, this is a very special number for me personally because I was born on February 4th and it is day number 35. The word simulation equals 35, and the card that I have in my tarot is the Trapped and Limited card, telling me clearly I'm here to be the tour guide and tell you that you're trapped inside this reality, which is a prism, and you ain't getting out till you die. But this 35 is also pi, 3.14 adds up to 35. And the 35, I feel, adds up to the number, it will give its energy to the number 8. And the number 8, I feel, is going to be moving towards the color pink, which is going to be tied to bismuth, which I talked about earlier on tonight with Santos and Ken. I was asking him about bismuth being the number one diamagnetic element on the periodic table, which is all the colors of the rainbow. Which this could be, it could be black, 8 could be black, but 7 is purple or violet, and then it moves. Maybe it's going to be black, but nonetheless, there's the pink. And then the cards that represent today, day May 14th, is the 5 of diamonds, which is card number 31. And 31 is, one digit off of 3.14. And then the spirit card, the counterpart to that card, is the 9 of diamonds. You'll see it there to the left, which is the 35th card in the deck. So you're going to have the simulation right there. And then you're going to have the 3.14, which is the 5 of diamonds. And the tarot card, and I'm going to come on screen and let's talk about this, because the tarot card is going to be important to talk about because you see this card right here is the 5 of diamonds in the tarot. It's the 5 of pentacles. And if you really look close, the whole nature of this card is really debility. This is a card of debilitation. It's people walking out in the snow, got the crutches, walking by the church window, the bag lady, the clothes are a mess. It's during the contraction, it's cold, it's hard times. This card right here is the 6th. Think about what I'm going to tell you right now. This is the 69th card in the tarot. 69, which is a representation of the yin-yang, the duality that we live in, the hot-cold. Debility and then not debility. This is telling you about the game of life. Because the game of life involves the black and the white, the good and the bad, the up and the down, the hot and the cold, the Darth Vader and the Yoda. So today is May 14th. It's the 304th. No, sorry, it's not the 314th day of the year. Why am I saying that? Let me look this up. So I knew what day it was, and I think 247. Let me look. No, 100. What am I saying? 314. I was right. It's the 134th day of the year. It's the 134th day of the year, My last name is Payette. That's a permutation of pi. And pi is the representation of Earth, the perfect circle, and the 69th card, the 5 of diamonds, which is tied to the 56 through the string of golden ratio. The 4 of diamonds and the 5 of diamonds represent this simulation that we play out. Man stuck in the prism and has forced to play out life, which is going to involve suffering. That's what this means. Clearly, that's exactly what it means. Let's get into some of your questions. Can we go beyond the duality? Well, in my Prison Planet Part 2, I offered to all of the decoding world what I thought was the way out, if there is such a thing, which is purely theoretical. I'm not saying it's fact. I'm saying I don't know, being very authentic. But I offered my theory on that, and that was to become neutral. Like if you're talking about the cube, just use this as the example of this being squaring the circle, this being the magnetic cube called Pandora's box, which I just did a decode. I hope all of you watched that one. And we live inside this thing, which is where you're going to get the Tesseract in the movie, and then the Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Obviously they wear it on their head. There's so many different ways of people expressing this right here, this analogy. Right here, the black cube. And this is, obviously referenced to Saturn's magic square. The numbers 1 through 9, they're in Saturn's magic square. And 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, all the way to the number 9. When you add all of them up, you're going to get 45, which is tied directly to the words Pandora's box in numerology. And so, what is Pandora's box? And the story of that through Greek mythology tells you a lot about what the hell's going on here in this game called life. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we here? And there's so many ways to look at this, folks. You can't just pick one and, really, it's so challenging because our ego, our identity wants to just attract everything. Like, this is our identity. And it just wants to attract everything, like a magnet attracts to stuff. And the things that you adopt as your beliefs, that's what you magnetically attract to you. And then you hold on to them. And you keep them in your magnetic field by way of conscious reminding and saying, oh, no, that's not the way it is. It's this way. And everything you believe ends up sucking into this magnet. And you essentially were magnetic, right? We're electric beings, but we're also magnetic. So it's Prison Planet is 26 and 26. The words magnetic and electric are 26 and 26 in numerology. You can't make this stuff up, as Nigel would say. This is telling us the story. And the words house always wins. Any of you out there, any of you gamblers out there? Anybody ever go to Vegas? I lived in Vegas. Love Vegas. Feeds the primal. Feeds the ego. But it's a great place. Honestly, there's a lot of really great minds in Las Vegas. You wouldn't think that, but it's very spiritual as well. It's a lot of people up here. But you've heard that terminology in gambling, the house always wins. What is the house? Because if you take $1 million of your money and you make a trek to Las Vegas and you make the call. You're like, I'm flying to Las Vegas with $1 million and I am going to go there with the intentions of bankrupting every single casino I go to. Meaning you're going to walk into their house and you're going to beat it and you're going to take everything from them where they were like, I can't write you any more tickets. I don't have any more chips to give you. You won everything. Well, folks, you see, that's just not possible. And then you got to go from that casino and then you got to go to the other one. And then you got to go to the other one, and you got to keep repeating that. Folks, you will not win this game of life. It's the house that always wins. And this is the house. Like it or not. I mean, yeah, it's got a good side to it. But the word house is the number 26, just like the word prison and the word planet. They all equal the number 26. Let me show you all this really quick. Do I have my... I don't. Okay. I don't have it set up. But anyway, right now, let me just open this up for you folks. Hang on, folks. Hang on. Display. Okay. Let me just show you through numerology, okay? Let me just get all this stuff out of here. Greek. This, and this. Just check this out with the Chaldean, okay? So the house always wins. And that's the number 56, and that's directly matching this right here, what Hollywood says, lights, camera, action. You see, that's the movie that we live in, 56. Which is tied to barium, 137, 33, it just goes on and on. This is the comical joke. Is lights, camera, action's the 56, and that's tied to the house always wins. That's right, because the house is whatever's created this simulation or projection, that's what always wins. And it's this word house. We live in a house, and it's the house that always wins. And you see this house right here is the number 26. Let me see if I have. Here's the 26 card in the deck right here. All the way to my right here. It's the 4 of clubs. Right here. This is the house that always wins. This card right here is the 4. The 4 is the Pandora's box. Let me just show all of you and talk to you on screen here. So you have this card right here, the house. Card 26. 26 is tied to the element iron. Iron's in our blood. Iron is one of the 4 ferromagnetic elements, along with cobalt, and if you went into that kind of stuff, it just gets so deep. But this is the 4 of wands from the 4 clubs. And this is happy home. This is the 26, tied to the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. So did the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh create this reality? It's tied to the tarot card. These cards are from Jewish mysticism, so it's going to be from the Hebrew language. They're heavily embedded onto the tarot. So this system right here is telling you that the 26 and the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh have a lot to do with this box that we live in. The Tetragrammaton is the box, the cube. This is the 4, happy home. That's what you're dealing with. And it's tied to iron in the blood. And all these 4s are going to play out, all of them, because ultimately they're going to end up leading to the major arcana in the tarot, which is the 4th card, which is the Emperor, the King. And the 4th chakra is the heart, which is green in earth. So the King goes to the earth, and it's the 4th card representing the cube that we live in. 4. 4 is Pandora's box. Ultimately, and I'm going to be showing this in my Pandora's Box Part 2, Pandora's Box ultimately is going to lead to the number 4, beryllium, which has got a weight of 9, which is going to be tied to the 1 through 9 of Saturn's magic square. But we also have these other 4, these 4s in the tarot, besides the house always wins, that's the 4 clubs, okay, representing the cube, and then we have the 4 of pentacles, right there, which is card number 68. This is like contraction, like give me that light and I'm not giving it back. It's like we come down here, we become humans, we become spirit into matter, and we become matter, we become part of the demiurge. This is the 4 of diamonds, card number 30, tied to Jack in the Box, if you've watched that I got. But this is card number 68 tied to erbium and the Tetragrammaton. This is all telling you the Tetragrammaton, and then you get the 4 of cups, the 4 of hearts, which is a fire card. This card right here is like he's bored. This means right here, to me, the way this card should be interpreted is that, you see, this is the beginning point of the tetra, the cube. The cube's alive. And you see, it gets bored. The 4 of hearts, it gets bored with the game. And so the game is running in a cyclical pattern, golden age to dark age, and then it gets repeated. It gets washed clean, rinsed, repeat, new cycle. Because it gets bored. You see, the cup's coming, and then he's got his hands forward. He's like, I don't want to play. But once the light comes in here and the game gets rewritten, then it becomes stuck in the prism. And this is what it's saying. It's holding on to the diamonds. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. And then ultimately, it all keeps coming back to the simulation. And what's a big piece of that? The 4 of swords. And the 4 of swords, this is card number 54. 54 is tied to Xenon, which means stranger in my head. It's tied to the number 131, which is tied to that song Brain Damage Pink Floyd came out with on Dark Side of the Moon in 1973. Are we living inside of the dream of the cosmos? Is this all just a dream? this card right here, 4 of Swords, tied to the 4 of Spades. 4 of Spades is card number 43. 43 is the 14th prime number. The word box equals 14. Folks, I could just keep going on and on and on and just hammer this away, but it's just so much fun. You can see that's what's going on in this reality. Karen's asking, how do you know your birth card the day you were born? Well, you go to the chart. Let me give all of you birthday chart. See if I can find a, here we go. Actually, let me just put Sharon's website up. So you're going to go to this website right here. For those of you that are new, it's called itsallinthecards.com. I'm going to pin this at the top. Pinning means it's going to be at the top of this text chat that's going on right now. And just click on that and just click on your birthday and go read about your card. You see, these cards, they fit inside your zodiac wheel as well, which is kind of, part of what I do in my readings now. I've added this in for a while now, but they fit into your astrology wheel. It's really profound information. And then we were just, when I was walking here from the Syncretism Society podcast that we just did, there was like 4 or 5 of us, and Santos was like, hey, what's your birthday? And we're naming off the elements. So what is your birthday? What is your element? Santos being born on the 24th. Tonight we're talking about the eyes, and Ken Wheeler mentioned Cryptochrome, which is inside your eye. It's part of your eyes and the way the operation of your eyes work. Cryptochrome. And I've studied the eyes and I just didn't pick up on this, but Cryptochrome, Krypton, operating system, 36, Chrome, Chromium, 24, and the X tied to Thomas and the eye. And I did a decode on Thomas. And the front cover was the picture of an eyeball. Because that's what we are. We're Jesus and Thomas, the 2 twins. The black and the white, the yin and the yang. Operating out here in this dualistic place we call life. Healer at Night, thoughts on the Crowley deck? I have the Crowley deck. I have it on digital. I don't use it. He just exchanged some of the cards to how he felt was. I pretty much just use the Rider-Waite because people know this. It's the classic, I guess. But all these cards have energy to them. If I were to create a brand new deck of cards, you just go with the double slit experiment. Any of you that know what that means is that when you have the movement of a photon, if you will, and there's nothing looking at it, it moves in a certain pattern in that context. It moves a certain way. But immediately when you start to observe it, it changes that. So essentially, the observation of our energy that we guide, which is just magical expressions of energy, it ends up dictating or feeding or giving definitions to the things that we're observing. So essentially, if I create a deck of cards and I start using them and showing them all to you, they're going to start collecting energy. They're like a magnet. And everything that you look at and everything that you talk about it, and then it's like anything else. That's why I have been really, really shouting from the rooftops to my audience. And Jordan's been doing this as well. It's like, stop giving your energy, or at least consider looking at what energy you give to on the world stage. Because what you're doing is you're feeding those archetypes. And the people that are like, I got to go fight them, and okay, that's fine. I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't be doing that, but I'm going to tell you the way the mechanics of this reality work. If you decide you want to jump in and fight that, you are essentially feeding it. And there's no way around that. You can go in and say, well, I'm a light worker, I'm going to protect myself. Yeah, no, but anytime you share your energy or you give your energy to another entity by talking about them, by slandering them, by like, I got to go beat them, by going out there and protesting, you're essentially keeping that entity or archetype alive with your energy. And that we were just talking about magnetism and electricity. All these constructs fit into the reality and the fabric of how this whole reality works. I love Alan Watts. Kelly Bath is asking on Alan Watts. I love Alan Watts. I have a lot of his audios on my computer. I love the great one I suggest to a lot of people I do readings for is what if money was no object? And it's just really simple. Like if you had 20,000 coming into your bank account every month, that would probably give the majority of you the space to never have to worry about paying for any of your bills, your food. You could wake up tomorrow and be like, okay, what do I want to do? You see, that's the space that you want to get into to be the most creative, to be the powerful being that you already are. If you're in the space of having to worry about how am I going to do this and how am I going to do that and how am I going to make ends meet, you will continually draw that into your reality. And it's very complicated because then you'd be like, well, I can't help it because I have this and I got these people and responsibility. I get all that, but you see, you got to master that domain. You got to be able to be neutral, which is where I feel you win the game of life. If you can just be a neutral observer of your current circumstances, I'm not saying don't get out there and do what you got to do to earn a living and take care of your responsibilities. That's not what I'm saying. But you see, the whole point of what if money was no object was really coming from a space of if you woke up tomorrow and you had no responsibilities, what kind of energy are you looking at to create from? That was the point of Alan Watson, what if money was no object. And I do these with my readings with people because people want readings. They want to like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? I want some guidance. Okay, cool. But you see, a lot of people have great ideas, but they never execute on them. They're very terrible at executing on their ideas. And I speak from experience. I still struggle with that sometimes. Actually acting on my instincts. So when you kind of narrow it down and you kind of go towards like, what is it going to get you out of bed and say, I can't wait to start my day today. Man, I am, and then you get into the state of gratitude because you're like, man, my life's freaking amazing. So a lot of you know how you're going to get there? You got to cut out the cancers in your life. You got to stop giving your energy to these predators. And that's what a lot of people's energy go to. The predator is a predator because you keep paying attention to it. I'm not saying the predator is not going to go away. But you see, anytime you end up exchanging a symbiotic relationship with these archetypes on the world stage, you become them and they become you. You become entangled. So the only way to really take your power back is to cut that cord and say, I'm not doing that anymore. That's not kind of a fun way of living. Like, here, let me give you my gas. Jordan uses that a lot. It's like you're going around town, you think you have an endless supply of gas in your tank and you're siphoning your gas off and you're feeding the town with your gas. Well, folks, that's you can't work that way. Oh, thanks, Herbal Tea. Yeah, this is my tagline I came up with, I turned the word junkie, which is relatively a negative word, and I turned it into something of the light, the positive. But you notice it's on a gray shirt. The symbology, the reason why I maybe consciously chose that, I leveled up and I realized that to me, gray is in the middle of black and white, and that's the way you win. See, when you come out into this world, you come out from the womb. Everybody comes out of a hole. I don't want to get gross. When you come out as a baby, the very first, if you're born healthy, there's no programming as a baby. You don't know what's going on. You instantly have probably a state of fear because of your, unfamiliar surroundings. But as long as you're taken care of by your parents, as a baby, if you were raised that way and nurtured a certain way, you're programmed like a good kid. But a lot of people are not born into these circumstances, let alone being born in the tummy and being influenced by everything that's coming at them through the belly. And the belly's going to absorb the light as well. So anytime someone's sitting there binge watching on shows who is pregnant, guess what's getting that energy? Your baby's getting it. Don't think that you can just be like, oh no, I'm protected. That's not going to, nope, sorry. That's like defining the whole laws of existence. So I'm all about, I go off on these tangents, so I'm all about the gratitude junkie and I live in a state of gratitude. And like when I'm brushing my teeth, I strive to be there with my teeth. How many years they've chewed the food for me. Without my teeth, I wouldn't have enjoyed a lot of these great foods that I've enjoyed. So they're a part of the chewing process. How often do we give them thanks? I mean, this is a whole biomechanical, machine. And we don't even really pay attention to a lot of the things that are working so hard in the background to continually give us this life experience, But so it's like live in a state of gratitude. And that's what I suggest to everybody. Tropical Rat, I have not. Ken Wheeler has a new video out on the Demiurge. I have not. Now that you mention it, I will be watching that a little bit later on or tomorrow, but I'll check it out. Thank you for telling me that. AJ Native, can you talk about receiving downloads? Quite simply, and I did a fun decode on this, but I believe we have an implant, and the implant is not like the science fiction implant that gets injected into your brain or your skin, or it's your all-seeing eye. It's the pineal gland. However that looks. And I believe the thoughts in your head, those own you. And it's not you, it's it, as Werner Erhard often alluded to. The great Werner Erhard. I'm a huge Landmark fan, and I'm a huge advocate of Werner Erhard, the great philosopher. And he says, and I did a little snippet of him, it's called It. That's the title of the video. Go check it out. No, it's actually not It. I can't remember what the title is, but it has It. Let me go look and tell you guys. But you guys should all check it out. Let me just tell you. And just a big shout out to all you great people that are really joining in tonight. Thank you so very much. I don't even know what the heck I called it. But anyway, it's got the big It on it. You can't miss the video. If you go through my video catalog, you're going to see, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, It Thinks. That's what it's called. It Thinks. And this is the comedy in my life. The video, YouTube's always going to show 2 timestamps. But the video, if you go to my video channel and just go look at all the catalogs, the video of It Thinks, I just noticed this now, is 4 minutes and 5 seconds long, and that's the 45, which is Pandora's box. Pandora's box is 45. That's the box. That's it. You are the box. It is you. It's just hilarious. And I do all my videos improv. I'm not sitting there trying to edit them to get them to certain timestamps. That's crazy. I don't have to. What should a pregnant woman watch? Well, I would assume that... Well, I guess I'm not going to assume. What would a pregnant woman watch? Things that are more neutral. I would probably just go out into nature as much as you can. Turn off the television. Turn off the computer. Subject yourself to nature. Go out and ground. Go out and be in the sunlight. Go out there and, feed your soul, feed yourself, but feed your baby by being out in nature as much as possible. Get to the ocean, get to the mountains, go to the brooks, go swimming in the river. Go ground as much. That's going to give you a healthy baby, or at least give you the percentages of perhaps popping out a really healthy baby. That's going to be more nature-based. But if you subject your baby to all this light, that's, the light that the LED screens and just the popping of light, that affects the womb. It has to, because it affects the stomach. It's going to go through the clothes in some way, shape, or form. You're not always clothed. So this baby's going to be affected by that. So I would just get out in nature. I mean, you don't have to be pregnant to know that. I have not decoded any REM sleep cycles. Karen, do I sell the tarot cards? No, I do not. These are a rider weight. Just, you can go on Amazon and get a deck. There's a machine that reads and diagnoses and repairs the subconscious. Yeah, all these technologies are coming in for sure, but there's still a source code that's playing out. This is just going to be a fractal down. This is taking all the knowledge of the human being experience, moving it into artificial intelligence. Essentially, that's how it gets smarter, because it's like Cerebral in the movie X-Men, and how he hooks up to every single mutant in the world, and they all come together, and the culmination of all these ideas are into one thing, which is what the computer is doing. When you put your information into your cell phone, and you're just observing your feed and you're looking at things and you're typing things into your search engine and you're liking things on your page, this is all data being collected by artificial intelligence. And then it's going to tell you exactly what you need to get marketed to, what your likes and what not likes are. That's why you're seeing some of these things pop up and you're like, hey, I was just thinking about that. Yeah, because you probably clicked on it. But that's artificial intelligence. That's a fractal down. But then you have the source code that's playing out just the same exact way. But it doesn't need to collect from a computer. It's a level up, or levels up. That's how I see it anyway. Yeah, if you guys, this t-shirt right here, it's one of my sponsors is called the Healers Project, And if you just go to there and type in Gratitude Junkie, you're going to find the shirt, you're going to find the mug. And I think they may even have a pullover, but right now and these t-shirts are, they're high quality. They're Bella Canvas t-shirts. If you know anything about t-shirts, they're good. So you can support that way. I got more taglines coming out. I got one, I like Gratitude Junkie. I got one really good coming out. Do I have Moldavite? Yes, I do. I have a piece of Moldavite. I wear, big shout out to Crystal, clear Crystal Compass. I hope I said that right. She wrapped my Moldavite. And I got this done just because the download of my head said, get it wrapped. She was here. She was right there, lives right down the street. And I saw she wraps stones and I'm like, perfect. This is the signs. These are signs, right? So she's like, she moves here. She's like, I wrap jewelry. Bam. I had this piece of Moldavite my great friend Devin gave me. And I've been waiting to wear it because it's green and it's representing the heart chakra. The heart chakra represents neutrality. Because it's the very middle, the box. Essentially, there's the box with the earth and the cube and the Pandora's box and the Mecca and all that. It's all tied to earth. But Moldavite is tied to green. Green is neutrality. The word green equals the number 20, I believe. Let me just double check that. Yeah, green is 20, just like the word duality is 20. So duality is black and white, but it's green because it's the heart and it's the middle. So when you come out into this world, as I was mentioning earlier, and you come out into the space through the Taurus field, and then natural childbirth, or however that looked for you, you come out as a neutral baby, and then over time, you get programmed, and you get programmed with a lot of different stuff, but you're going to get programmed with a lot of things that are going to make you decay. That's life. Every time you eat, even if it's good stuff, the body has to move. And every time the body moves, it makes it decay. It brings it down. It's like put miles on the body, just like a car. Every time you start your car and you put it in drive or you put it in first and you take off, that depreciates the car. Well, time depreciates the body. I don't care how healthy you want to eat. You're just going to slow down the rate at which you'll die, which is what you want to do anyway. You want a long, healthy life. The statistics are to eat more alive foods. The base of your, in my opinion, the base of your food should be a plant-based or alive foods to make you decay the slowest. And when you have foods that are acid, which are lower chakra, those are going to make you decay faster, because what does acid do? Acid deteriorates quick. But the fun stuff is all acidic. The majority of it, satiation. We've talked about these concepts so much, but that's the push-pull. Like if you can be in the middle and you just partake in a little bit here and there, you want to be slightly alkaline, slightly 7.7 pH is 7.3, 7.4 in the blood. That's the monitor right there. 7.3, 7.4. Your blood is right around there in the pH, which is representing the acid alkaline. That's going to tell you exactly the the monitoring point of where you want to be in life. You want to be slightly alkaline, slightly up here, slightly in the blue, because anything below that, you're going to be more on the acidic side. So you can't just go completely alkaline, because the same effect will be given to you if you go straight up acid, and that is just decay. You'll just disintegrate. In those contexts, I'm not saying you will do that if you go straight up or straight down. Jacqueline, me and my husband are interested in the superhuman group. That's funny. It's interesting, the superhuman group. So yes, I came up with this. I've been working on this for a long time, and I just decided one day I was going to dump it. I was going to dump it out on all of you. And I've gotten some emails. I've shelved these emails, by the way. I try to respond to everybody. I know I've gotten a slew of emails. Maybe I didn't get to them. People that were interested in being a part of these groups that I had mentioned in one of my previous podcasts. And the concept is very simple. These are groups of 13 people. They all form a Knights of the Round Table. And the real aspects of how this reality works, it's illumination. Aluminum is 13. It's illumination. And these 13 groups of people are all going to be separate cards, but they're going to be the same exact suit. So if you're a diamond, you're going to want to pair up with 13 people that are diamonds. You want to have all the diamonds, the ace through the king. And then if you're a club, you want to be partnering up with a club group. And eventually, I already know this is going to happen. These are going to go worldwide, and you will have your round tables that you will belong to, and these are going to be your kind of like secret societies, so to speak, but they're not going to be secret societies. They're going to be designed for people to create from. I feel that 13 is that magic number. Pi is 3.1. The mirror is 1.3. You get the 4 on the end, but the base on either side is the 1 and the 3, or the 3 and the 1. And so this 13 is tied to the sun, as most of you know watching the Superstar Decoded. 13 is tied to the sun. It's tied to the patterns of the sun. And the 13 is the 171. Those of you that are like the septenary, Marty Leeds' work, it's tied into the sun, but it creates that boomerang shape. It's going to be tied to these 13 groups. And this is where you're going to get into the 13 and the bloodlines and all that, folks. You're consciously now becoming, the veil has been lifted. You know, the apocalypse means the great awakening, as Jason from Archaic talked about just the other day in our broadcast. It doesn't mean that someone's going to blow the world up. No, the blowing up is going to be in your mind, because you're going to be free to a certain extent. Free to create from. And technology will advance so quick, and healing will take place at a rapid pace. I believe so. That's what's coming, I think. So a lot of people that are suffering right now may end up having some really bright times ahead. I'm just purely speculating on this. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying it's a possibility. But I haven't organized this yet. I threw these ideas. I'm just going to let them self-organize. Probably going to need some people to lead the way. So think about that. If you're somebody who likes to organize and put groups together, and you're good at that kind of stuff, because that's not my forte. I come up with a lot of ideas. There are things that are my forte, but I would like somebody to help me with that, or people to help me out. I see groups, folks. These 13 cards will be unbreakable. 4 of the same group, 4s of 13 groups of 4, and you have a complete circuit. You have a battery, and you belong to the diamond group. You belong to the club group. I am a heart. You know, those. Maybe you're a king of heart, or maybe you're a 3 of hearts, or you belong to the heart group. And there's going to be enough people going around that are going to get involved with this syncretism and decoding and whatever word you want to choose. There's going to be enough people that are going to get involved in this, where you're going to have people in different selected cities. You're going to probably meet up online, create your groups online, but then you're going to want to meet up in person. And who knows what could be possible at that point. Imagine 13 people representing your suit, the ace through king. Like if you're a diamond and you're an ace of diamonds, well, then you would be with the ace of diamonds, the 2 of diamonds, the 3 of diamonds, the 4 of diamonds, and you'd create that 13 round table of people. And now you have a circuit that's unbreakable. If you all were to hold hands, create a circle around that king in the middle, you essentially create your own triangle, and you square the circle. That's what the pyramid is, squaring the circle. The circle's inside this pyramid. So you create the circle on the earth, which is the cube, and now you create the circle inside the square, And that's kind of unbreakable in my eyes. And it's 13 and it's tied into nature because there are 52 cards matching to 52 weeks. So this stuff right here, folks, I already know this is the next level stuff. You're hearing it here for the first time. There is nobody, you're not going to hear this anywhere else. And I'm telling you that just to get you excited, not to brag, or I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm not interested in handouts, or I'm not here to give you any autographs. Don't care. Matter of fact, if you ever meet me, I'm the easiest guy to talk to. And, I may debate with people and I'm stern and rigid in my beliefs. Yes, but aren't we all? Like when you get to a mad scientist level, you get deep down inside the rabbit hole, it looks far different than when you're at the top and you're looking down and like, should I go down there? Because I was once there. I was at the top and I'm like looking down like Alice did. And I'm like, should I chase the rabbit? And I said, yeah, let's do this. And there's going to be gradients to that for all of you. How far down the rabbit hole you want to go. And I believe these groups will be unlike no other. There is nothing of its kind right now. And maybe someone will take this idea and, I'm not going to say they're going to steal it. I don't really care. So I'm not trying to hide it. I don't care. I just want to get it created. That's why I'm putting it out there. Wherever it goes, it goes. But I know it's going to be powerful because I know how powerful these cards are and what kind of energy they bring. And they're tied into numbers and language and magical expressions. And when you bring 13 people together, you're going to get your own bloodline, so to speak. I got a decode coming out on that. Translate your content to other languages. Yeah, that's probably on the horizon as well. Eventually, that's probably where it's going to go. AJ Native, we need a decode on Wu-Tang Clan. See, hip hop and rap are my two least favorite styles of music. No offense. I mean, there are some songs that I do like. But they're my least favorite. But I'm a huge fan of Killah Priest. And he's a Leo, and I've been on his show a few times. I'm actually due to go back on with him and his podcast. He's got some really big names going on there. I'm not a decoder. I'm a psychic healer. Yeah, folks, imagine yours. Let me just pull a card out. Let me see what card I pull out just to use as an example. Those of you that may be this card, let's see. There we go. The Two of Hearts, right? So those of you that are the Two of Hearts, your birthday, right? This is the Two of Fire, and this fire right here is going to form communions. That's what this card means. It means creating partnerships. In the tarot, okay, it's the card of coming together to form an agreement. And that's what two is. You see, two means duality. It means the torus field. If you flip it on its side, it's going to be the number 8 right there. You can see the number 8, or the number 8 like that. It's going to give you two of the hourglasses, the torus fields that we were just talking about on the Syncretism Society. But this Two of Hearts right here is a card of creating partnerships. And that's what you got to do when you get down here in duality. But it's talking about fire. It's the starting point. It's written in the script. It's at the very beginning, and be like, okay, what we're going to do with this is we're going to create partnerships. It's all the way at the bottom. Here it is. Here's the Two of Hearts. You see, and so if you're a Two of Heart, you're good at creating partnerships. That's just one piece of you. There are so many other layers through astrology, Vedic, Chakras, numerology, life path. There's so many layers. You're so complex. But as more and more people define what they're doing here through these groups, you will create secret societies that are not secret anymore. This is how we raise up and get to the golden age again, where we end up just downloading all this free information that's always been here. And we do that by forming circuits. And we're going to do that with this 13. I'm telling you right now, I already know it's going to happen. I already know it's going to work too. It's just a matter of, and maybe someone will just take this idea and do it themselves, and I'll end up finding out about it later on down the line, but whatever, I don't care. Because I got so many more other ideas that I want to come to the table with. This is just one of them. But I felt like this one's kind of worthy of talking to all of you about. And if you're a heart, man, you're the fire. In the cards, they mean fire. In the tarot, they're going to mean primarily water, so it's going to be different. But ultimately, each one of these cards has all 4 elements in it. There are just fractals. It's going to have one main archetype, and then it's going to have the 4 mini or the 3 other mini inside of it, just like your one torus field, and inside this torus field are all the chakra points, and it just keeps going down and down. When you get to the heart-shaped box, this right here is, even though it's number 4 and it represents green, inside of it is going to have the 7 chakras as well, and it just keeps going down and down and down. And it's that Mandelbrot set, which is what everything just continues to expand, and it's endless, it's limitless. It's pretty awesome, man. So look at that. I'm a 5 of diamonds. I'm a king clubs, 5 of diamonds. I love it, man. You know, you 5s, those of you that are 5s, you guys are the ones that need to get out there and experience life. So if somebody's trying to hold you back in a relationship, if you're in a relationship and you're a 5, like especially the 5 of diamonds or 5 of spades, you can't be held down. You can't be like chained up and saying, oh, you can't do that. You can't be told what to do. I mean, no one likes to be told what to do by default. But the 5s, anybody that's a 5 birthday or a 5 of spades or a 5 of hearts, you're the busybodies, man. 5 life paths, the soul contract. You're designed to experience life in all its totality. The risk takers, the adventurer. Like, hey, let's go do that. I want to go do that. I want to go try the ring. I want to swing into the lake. I want to go on the roller coaster. You know, I want to skydive. I want to bungee jump. You know, and of course, I'm not saying you have to be a 5 to do this, but just giving you an example, those of you that are 5. So the 5s in the group of 13, they're the ones that may be like, hey, I'll be the guinea pig. I'll try it. There's an idea like, hey, we need some volunteers. The 5 may be like, hey, I'm going to volunteer. You know, the one that will probably be in the forefront of that. And 5 is in the middle. 5 essentially, if you look at a pyramid, it's at the tip. Because if I take this pyramid and I put it over the dial pad or your phone or your calculator, the number 5 is going to be in the very middle. Even in the Saturn's magic square, the number 5 is in the very middle. 5 is the only number that looks like the letter S, and the S is tied to the word sun, and the sun rules the 5th house in the zodiac called Leo the lion. In the Chinese, it's the dragon. 5. It's really simple, folks. When you start to really, really connect all these and do true syncretism, it just becomes like, well, that's easy. You can see it all. So my suggestion to you, and here's a little nugget I give to people that I do readings for. I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you a little drop here. Okay, if you want to level up in this reality, go to your card, go to Sharon's website, itsallinthecards.com. I've pinned it at the top. Just click on that, just type in your birthday, month and day. And my suggestion to you, to everyone that likes what I'm saying here, I'm saying every single night before you go to bed, the last thing you should do is read that paragraph. Over and over. You don't have to do it over and over every night, but at least once a night for 30 days. And after 30 days, you will have a lot of that memorized. And if I were to call you on the phone and say, hey, tell me what it means to be a 6 of diamonds. Tell me what it means to be a 9 of clubs. You will be able to throw things at me that are almost verbatim. Some of you have a photographic memory, like Jordan from Waters Above Crypto. He's got a photographic memory. Well, those of you that have that, you'd be able to really verbatim tell me what it says. But you have to then not only read it, but you need to absorb it and become it. And it becomes you. And it bleeds into you. And you bleed into it. It's a symbiotic relationship. And these layers that Sharon has wrote about, yeah, there's some stuff in there that's going to challenge you, but for the most part, every card has a massive amount of positivity to it. And a lot of you, that's exactly what you need to adopt as your beliefs, to get rid of the crap that you've adopted as your other code that, you know, the majority of us don't have the same cards as our parents. Yet they programmed you from that card, that perspective. And then the spirit card and the other karma cards. And then they programmed you through where their sun's in astrology and where their rising sign is, where their midheaven is. They're going to program you from all these layers of their blueprint. Well, that's not your blueprint. And so you must go back and look at your blueprint and say, wait a minute, this is who I am. And the more you're willing to absorb, it's like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, great example. He needed to become a kung fu master to fight Mr. Smith. So what did he do? Laid in the chair, got plugged in, and they uploaded how to become a Kung Fu master. And he learned how to fight within seconds. Well, we don't have the ability to do that. Right now, we only have the ability, and I say right now because it's possible we're going to end up downloading information really quickly. But right now, if we read something or listen to it through an audiobook over and over and over, we become that. We become influenced by it. And a lot of you, that's exactly what would benefit your life, is if you absorb this information and become exactly what your blueprint says you are. I'm not saying that you have to be a robot, because you ain't going to be that. But a lot of you need to get rid of the junk, the crap that you adopted as your belief growing up. And we all are guilty of this, which is why doing personal development courses are a great idea. Doing mirror work, Louise Hay, and if you're a fan of Louise Hay, getting rid of the garbage that you've programmed into your biofield. And getting into the great work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he's got a book called Supernatural. You know, these ideas this is where our reality is going. That's why you're here listening for me talking about this stuff. You were supposed to be here. And then what are you going to do with it? Right? You're being influenced. Some people need to be influenced more and more, like maybe like 2 or 3 times they need the coaching. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, now I finally get it. Maybe when you hear this for the first time, you're going to be doing something, your kid's going to be crying and you miss some of what I say and it doesn't download and program into your subconscious, into your biofield, the way somebody's like really paying attention to what I'm saying and absorbing it like a sponge. So there are different fractals to all these experiences that we're playing out. But ultimately, if you make a habit out of reading something about your blueprint over and over, like when I do my readings for people, we record them and I'm like, don't just put it away. Go watch it every single month. You know, you're going to get to a point, it's like reading a book 2, 3, 4 times, watching a show 2, 3, 4 times. Some of you watch movies 5, 10, 15, 20 times. How many times have you read your charts? A movie's not going to give you the keys to your kingdom. It's going to give you downloads about maybe how this reality works, but ultimately you are the cog in the wheel. You need to know your position, your responsibility. And if you are giving if you're giving your gas to these archetypes on the world stage, if you're taking hours out of your day to watch the television and watch the mainstream and what's going on there, you are actually sacrificing all your gas. You're sacrificing all of your energy. You're giving it to them, where you could be taking that and saying, you know what, I'm not going to give you my gas anymore. I'm going to take it back and I'm going to run this motor, and this motor is going to be talking about who I am and why I'm here, what I want to define, and all that kind of stuff. And that's where the world's going, ladies and gentlemen. The world is going to go towards no fear, and I'm not giving you my gas anymore. Stick it up your ass. I'm not going to do it anymore. And then realize you can start to see these. It's like, okay, that's a shark. It's a predator, but I ain't going to go near the shark. Right? I mean, it's just so simple. But you know what? People love like the great Don Henley from the Eagles. One of my favorite songs of all time, Dirty Laundry. That song. People love their dirty laundry. They love it. They love it. They love to bathe in it. They love to talk about it. They love to spread it around. And it's all bullshit. And they love it. They lay in it and they rub it all over themselves and they get crazy on it. And that's why the world is the way it is. And so when there's a big shift in the world and you feel it as an empath, it's because these people are programmed and they're feeding the program, which is feeding them, and it's a symbiotic relationship. When you cut yourself off from the simulation, when you cut yourself off from that symbiotic relationship that you once had with these archetypes that aren't giving you anything in return other than giving you some kind of emotional response that you're going to give from love and fear, when you cut that off and that relationship ends, it's like breaking up with your ex and saying, I'm done. I'm out of here. See you later. I mean, that's why we usually end relationships. You're not happy, they're not happy. The symbiotic relationship is not the same as what it once was. And when you cut it, sometimes some of you have been in abusive relationships and you just never cut it off. And then finally you got the courage to cut it off for whatever reason. And as soon as you cut it off, you cut that piece off your life, you cut the cord, and you're free. I mean, Oscar Wilde, the great poet, had such a great meme. He said, hell is holding on and heaven is letting go. So insane how perfect that is. Hell is holding on, heaven is letting go. And a lot of you love to hold on to your hell. You love it. You want to bathe in it. You can't wait to get up. That's your fix. Some people like to shoot. Some people like to smoke, snort, whatever, drink, feel. A lot of people like to get their dope from energy sources. They like to hang out with energy vampires and get their fix. They like their dose of their dirty laundry. That's what they shoot up with. If you could just use these analogies and look at your own life and really observe your life, how much time do you spend getting your fix on these layers in reality, the static? And those are just sucking the life out of you, and you're getting high from it, and you're literally being drained. I don't live your life. Like I don't have to worry about that, but I'm just encouraging you to look at your life, look at the life that you have surrounded yourself with, because other people that are close to you, they're the extension of you. They're going where you're going, pretty much. There's exceptions. The people you hang around with, they're doing what you're doing. So sometimes we have to eliminate friends to get to higher places. The band 3 Days Grace had that in one of their albums, one of their songs. If you don't like the current situation, raise yourself up to higher places. A lot of people don't like to do that because when you hang out in the gutter, it's comfortable. You know what you're going to get. Feels good. You get your fix. Like, feed me, baby. Give me my food. Okay, yell at me, scream at me, so I can yell at you back. And then it just spirals out of control from there. Dirty laundry is 34. That's funny. 34 is the 8 of diamonds. It's tied to the sun. And Lucifer, the light bringer. Lucifer is known as the one that weakens the nations. That's the dirty laundry. Dirty laundry weakens the nations. That's on the news. Think about if you go onto the mainstream, and it's been like this since I have come into this reality in 1973, or I shouldn't say, I wouldn't even remember back then, but ever since I started watching television, and you go back to some of these, go to YouTube and type in whatever year you were born, type in like I was born in 1973, type in 1973 commercials. Television commercials, and see what pops up for you in your year you were born. And you're going to see what you were programmed with. You're going to see what you were programmed with when you were in your mom's belly before you came out into this world. Through that 9-month span, or give or take, 280 days. You're going to see what you were programmed with. 3 Days Grace is still going. They have a new lead singer. Well, they had a new lead singer, but they're still awesome. See, I'm a rocker, man. Like the music playing in the background, it's kind of a blend of rock and like ambient kind of stuff. It's called post-rock, this stuff I listen to, and it's no lyrics, so you don't have to worry about, being distracted from lyrics taking you off into it. And that's what lyrics do. Lyrics, they seduce you. They serenade you. Notice that seduce and serenade both start with the letter S. Serenade, simulation, sun. I mean, in the Lovers card number 6, what's behind man and woman? Well, it's a big-ass sun. I'm not saying this is absolute. Just saying it's a narrative to look at and figure out how this reality works. I just did the podcast over at my Cosmic Sugar. I just did my first podcast and released it with Greg, the Hydrogen Man, talking about molecular hydrogen, the importance of how it reacts upon the body, how it much benefits, what it can heal. I mean, it's just amazing what it can do. And it's hydrogen, and then we were talking about how water's important and the sun's important, how the sun distills the water because it evaporates. It takes the water from the ground, it brings it into the clouds, and it gets distilled. Purification. And then, I had done the decode on this, and I had said the sun evaporates, the moon ends up purifying, and then it delivers it back to the earth through precipitation. The whole water cycle is the reincarnation process. It's pretty awesome, the whole water cycle. And water cycle equals 33 in numerology. The Police, King of Pain. Yeah, I loved. I just actually recently put some of their songs on my my playlist. Wrapped Around Your Finger. I mean, it's got the S wave in there in the video. I mean, it's all referencing the sun. I'll be wrapped around your finger. Anytime, see, I feel like these artists that sing about women, they're talking about the sun or the earth or the moon, one or the other, one of those three. Yeah, blood. That's right. Blood moon's tomorrow. And as you notice, ladies and gentlemen, right now, what's going on the world stage and the financial markets, I don't want to get too mainstream, but there was a big dump, and as to be expected. But, you know, I mean, this fall coming up. Woohoo! Just can't wait for it. I mean, I should say I can't wait. Looking forward to it. And it may not be all peachy keen for some of us. But these are the growing pains, the pangs of distress, the baby pains, delivering the baby, and then the baby's going to get delivered. So right now, you see, inside the earth, the way the concept is, the way I feel it should be observed anyway, is inside the cosmic egg, which is the cube, is the embryo. If you just look at an egg, you'll tell you all about how nature works, because inside of an egg that you get at the grocery store, by the way, there is no animal in there. Inside of an egg that you buy at the store, there's no animal in there. There's no embryo in there. The embryo is developed after around 21 days when it gets incubated. Inside the egg, however, is what's called the vitellus, which is the yolk, which is the yellow, which is the sun. And the vitellus is the component of the egg that feeds the embryo once the embryo is finally created after day 21 or around there. And then you have the egg albumin, the egg white, which is kind of like the ether, the air around us, which protects, acts as a barrier. May even represent and then you have the eggshell representing the firmament. It's pretty simple. But inside the egg of earth, over however long we've been here, something's been growing. An embryo has been growing. And you and I, as human beings, have been part of creating that embryo. We are all responsible for the creation of the embryo that's being born into this reality called life. And just like an egg, after a certain amount of days, once that embryo is created and it gets taken care of, through heat, a baby chicken is born. And so the same concept, I feel, works the same way in the constructs of Earth being the egg, is that inside the egg is the embryo. It's called the game of life. And all of us inside this embryo are the cells in the battery. We all have our job to do, creating this embryo. And something is going to get hatched, which to me falls in line with what Jason Brashears from Archaic talks about as the Phoenix event and the cleansing. The cleansing is from the embryo being born into this reality. And I know that's very abstract, but I feel like that's exactly how this reality works. And the egg's going to get cracked, and then a new board's going to be given, and we start over a new cycle. You know? Going through your comments. Yeah, a lot of people have been seeing 9/11. 9/11 has so many different outlets to it. It's not just as simple as saying, well, I'm seeing the number. You can look at it in the string of pi. You can look at it in the string of the golden ratio. 156 is the 911th prime number, or the 911 is the 156th prime number, excuse me. The 156 is the hierarchy of the 56. 56 is tied to lights, camera, action. Anytime you see the 56, it references the simulation. 5 and 6. When you break down 5 and 6 in astrology, it comes to the 5th house and the 6th house, or the 5th chakra and the 6th chakra. It's the throat and the third eye. We speak what we see through our eyes that are a culmination of the triangle on your face, which is the two devils, your eyeballs, the black suns, and then the third eye or the pineal gland that it goes into. It forms this triangle shape, which is going to give you that almighty shape. So this triangle is everywhere. It's in the buckyballs. We talked about this earlier in the syncretism with Ken Wheeler, and it's just the triangle is such an amazing shape. But nonetheless, we live inside, I believe we live inside the dream of the cosmos. And I don't know how it works beyond that. That's the operating system. And we're daydreaming. Think about that word. Hey, stop daydreaming. I've been said that when I remember growing up in school. I was told that at a time. My parents, the teacher would say, he daydreams too much. What does daydreaming mean? You're thinking. What are you thinking about? What are you creating with your thoughts? Well, it's a fractal down. So the planets, I feel, are a representation of the chakras inside of us, and therefore the planets would sit in certain positions on these chakras. I personally feel Saturn is the 7th planet, which has the crown, which represents the top, which represents the color violet. And then you'd have the third eye, or the pineal gland, being represented by Jupiter, and Jupiter has the great red spot on it, obviously a match to the pineal gland itself. And then you'd come down to the throat, which is the sun. Because in the 5th house of astrology, it's Leo ruled by the sun. The sun is the 5th house. And then the 4 is tied to the moon and earth because it's the 4th house, which is the cube, which is the heart-shaped box that Nirvana talked about. And it's the color green, and it's the great balancer. Green equals 20, duality equals 20. Pawn equals 20. The word free and the word will, they both equal the number 20. Jesuit equals 20. Mason equals 20. It's all referencing duality. And it's the heart-shaped box. And that's, in astrology, the 4th house is Cancer, the 69, the yin-yang, the circle inside the square. And then it's referencing the moon that rules the 4th house called Cancer. And it's obviously tied to the moon above our heads. So these layers I feel, and then you get number 3, which then you get to the solar plexus. And it's ruled by Mercury, even though it's called the solar plexus. Then you get to number 2, and that's Taurus. And it's ruled by Venus. Venus is the female reproductive system. The Taurus skull looks just a hell of a lot like the female reproductive system. And I showed this in my Prison Planet Part 3 decoded, or number 2, either 2 or 3. Some of my best research, I felt. And then number 1 is the root, and it's red, and it's Mars, and it's Aries, the ram. And the starting point of it all, and the rising sign. Yeah, James Green, 11/9 is the expiration date on Neo driver's license. Yeah, I mean, so like, where do you go after that? So the 9/11 is the 119. It's also tied to the element osmium, which is the 76th element, tied to the Wizard of Oz, because osmium has an atomic weight of 191. So it's there. It's a permutation of that. And then you're going to get into palindromes and all these mathematical expressions or sayings that we get into. Yeah, folks, I mean, I know a lot of you have been, this is a question I get from a lot of people, like, I'm seeing all these numbers, what do they mean? I don't know, because I don't know what's going on in your life, and I certainly can't diagnose it, if you will, just by a simple text that you're saying you've been seeing these numbers a lot. We'd have to look at your entire life, and I mean, even myself, I see these numbers, and I'm kind of getting the hang of it. You know, it's like, I keep track of everything in my life. I mean, when you go to the gym, do you get a gym membership? What does that number mean? Can't tell you how profound it's been for me. The address on your house. What block are you on? What's your cross street? What's the cross street in the street you're on? Do you have any routes running through the place that you were living at when you were born? You know, like I had Route 44. The hospital that I was born in was right off of Route 44. 44 is tied to gold currency. And it goes, I mean, 4 is the box. I was born in the 4th. But 44 is tied to the element ruthenium, which is element number 101 or 44, but it has a weight of 101. 101 is the 26 prime number. It's telling you that the house 26, Yod He Vav He, iron, man, comes down and becomes part of the game. 44, that's what 44 means. It's tied to the game. So where were you born? What hospital were you born in? What's the numerology of the house you were born in? What's the address? What's the latitude, longitude? All of these layers as a decoder you should be looking at and observing in your life and taking notes and keeping track of them in your notepad or your phone or and then, decode yourself. Because that's how you're going to find out what the hell you're doing here. Yeah, and I have a course I'm working on. I just haven't put it out yet. Working on it. It's a work in progress on how to decode yourself. It will, those of you that like to research, those of you that are like born Scorpios or Scorpio risings or Scorpio in the first house or Scorpio in the 8th house, or, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have these layers in astrology, but I just see a large pattern of people like that are really the investigators. And those of you that really are a fan of the occult and decoding, you're going to want to check my course out. It's going to be affordable for everybody, and it will show you how to break down your entire life to where you're going to create what's called a life coding report. And when you do that, if you hand it to me and say, hey, Logan, this is me, read it. And it's like 100 pages. And you'd say, everything that's in there, word for word, is me. Do you know how valuable that is to you? Like, okay, it may not be valuable to me because I don't really hang out with you, but how valuable would it be to give it to your partner that you're married to, that you live with, and say, hey, here's my report. Here's how I operate. Now, there are going to be moving parts that you just are not going to be in the report, and that is how you were programmed as a kid, how your parents programmed you. And a lot of your responsibility, I feel the responsibility of the human being experience is to alleviate or eliminate a lot of these beliefs that we were indoctrinated with, influenced by, and pay attention to the things that truly are the makeup of our blueprints. And then when you read the report of your partner, how can you get mad at your partner for showing up a certain way when they're just being them? But that's not how the human being experience is in the habit of doing. I don't like the way you do that. And then you're just like, well, you're just saying you don't like their code. You see, if you were to hand somebody a report before you go on a date and read their report, you know pretty much exactly what you're going to get. You know how valuable that is? Super valuable. And that's where dating's going. It's going to reading, not even try before you buy. Read before you buy. Read before you date. At least it gives to, and I feel at least it would, because we're moving towards leveling up in this reality. So if we're moving towards leveling up in this reality, and why a lot of us are collaborating, coming together, because it's time to level up. So when you level up and you actually end up being able to read about somebody before you end up saying, well, yeah, because a lot of you, are you looking at astrology signs? Like, I got in the habit of asking I still do, what's your birthday? Not everybody, but just your month and day. What's your birthday? I want to know what your card is. I want to know what you're doing. What's going on with you? Because some cards I match up really good with. And when I see some of these cards coming, I'm like, oh man, we would pair up really good. But if you're interested in that kind of stuff, this course is going to be for you. It's going to be magnificent. Never been done before. And it's just easy. It's just putting the work in. Just putting the time in. And then you would, if I'm a parent, if I get a kid, I'd be decoding my kid every weekend. Showing my child exactly what their blueprint is. I'm not saying it's set in stone. But when you read about something, you're like, oh my God, that's totally me. Why would you try to dismiss that? Some people do. Or their partners be like, you can't do that. You shouldn't be doing that. What do you mean? That's my freaking code. It would just alleviate a lot of arguments and debates, but you'd have to be at a conscious level. You'd have to be on a level of where you're accepting of everybody from a neutral standpoint. You don't have to be, neutral. Just be like, hey, you're just doing you. Okay, fine. I'm just going to do me. I don't have a set date of when it's coming out, but it's being worked on. Just keep getting pulled in a million different directions. Yeah, regarding someone had just posted a comment about the 44 being the hummingbird, and so let me just get this 6, 7, 8. So I have this new methodology that I came out with, and it goes in line with the 13, the groups of 13. In an earlier podcast I had done about a month and a half ago, I showed the elements on the periodic table and how they fit in groups of 13. And so you can just keep going up with the 13, and it just goes layer after layer, fractal after fractal, and it's just going to give you another layer of perhaps where these ideas or constructs fit into this reality. And so, like, a big one is Chronos, right? Otherwise known as Saturn. I like to call it Chronos because that's the earlier version of, because the Romans called it Saturn, but predating that was the Greeks and Chronos. And then it's just, keeps going. But anyway, Chronos is where you get chronographic watches from, and timepieces. And I believe now, I can say this with very strong percentages, that I think that Saturn actually is Ra, or it was. And the reason why I say that is because the element radium, which is Ra, is the number 88. Has 88 protons. And when you do the numerology of Chronos in the Greek, not the way Derek has it on his website, because he's using the older version of the Greek, but the finalized version of the Greek that reduces it all down to 24 letters, the modern Greek alphabet, Chronos is going to give you a total of 88 in the Greek. And that 88, to me, is going to tie to radium, Ra, and perhaps Saturn. And Saturn being the sun god Ra, or it once was the sun god Ra. And it makes so much sense if I were to show you these nuggets that I found with this number 88, and it being tied to yttrium, and the Y is in the box, and the cube, and the number 39 tied to Lucifer and the devil. So there's a strong tie-in to Saturn being perhaps the actual projector that works in a symbiotic relationship with the sun and moon. And it is as if it's the crown. And these constructs are very abstract, very theoretical, but in the whole aspects of the way we observe these occult knowledge pieces, I think that Saturn or Chronos was Ra. And, radium is an element that decays from uranium, and uranium is full magnetism. It's the magnet, it's the horseshoe, and perhaps Uranus, which is the father of Saturn. So you'd have Uranus being the 8th planet, controlling the ether and the air, the flow of the magnetic and electric, and then you'd have Saturn as radium and Ra being the actual torus fields themselves and controlling time. So these constructs obviously are very theoretical and abstract, but you can see how alchemy has its say in all this kind of stuff. And then radium, when it decays down naturally, it's going to end in lead, and that is the element that Saturn has. It's the 82nd element called lead. So it's very interesting that radium and lead are connected and they form a symbiotic relationship. And then if you take the average weight of radium, it's 226. Well, that's going to tie into the address of the Washington, D.C. and Google, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And it's going to tie into the 22222. I think it's 5 2s. And it's going to tie into duality as well. So there are so many multiple layers. I could just keep going and dropping these things on everybody. So many different directions, but that's kind of my level of understanding, subject to change. Of course, that radium, which is 88, is in fact Kronos, which may have ended up ruling the golden age back in Egypt. That's why Ra was there, and then maybe that's why Ra gets passed down, and then it becomes A10. That's where you get tetragram. Thank you, Jordan Maxwell. Tetragram Aton. Aton is A10, which is a sun deity in the Egyptian times. And it's just in a different dynasty. So is this just kind of like, like a reset or a cycle, the Phoenix event, as Jason from Archaics, resetting the game and wiping out the game, and then a new set of programming comes in, and then you're now recreating the constructs of what we end up saying is the GOD. Draco Thapa Magar. Freemasons created the world conspiracy to label the truth as false and false as the truth. I don't agree with that at all, but again, this is what you're going to come to the conclusions on. Freemasonry has a lot of truth in it, and I'm not a Mason at all, but if you think that Freemasonry is creating the conspiracy to get you off track, well, you just haven't really looked at it. Sure, there's probably some Trojan horses inside that whole that society, but if you know what you're looking at, that's not what I see. It's not what I see at all. Saturn came from light. The purple light came from Saturn, the keeper of time and judgment. Yeah, I mean, Saturn is not only ruling the 10th house in astrology, which is ultimately where the number 88 is going to fit. I was saying earlier that I had created these 13 cycles of the elements on the periodic table that go every layer of 13 goes up, and it's a level or a fractal. And the number 88 is going to fit inside the house of Capricorn through this methodology that I've discovered. And 10 is Capricorn, and 10 is ruled by Saturn, and 10 is the Wheel of Fortune, which has the Yod Hey Vah Hey right on the tarot card. And again, I'm not saying these are absolutes, but these cards are heavily involved or invested in Jewish mysticism and ultimately the Torah. That's what it's saying. That's what it's saying as these card expressions come out. And Saturn not only, I feel, runs the house number 10, but I feel it runs house number 7, which is the crown. And that is Libra. Those of you that are Libras, it's the scales of justice. As Jeremiah Gabbard said, the keeper of time and judgment. That's right, because it uses Libra energy to be the judge, to sit and be the judge and decide who's right and who's wrong, or who's getting this or who's getting that. The dealer of karma, Libra, which is in the Tropic of Cancer, is expansion, or the decline of expansion. It's time for the harvest, but not in the Tropic of Capricorn. If you live in Australia, or it's your springtime. It's your springtime. So it's different. And this is how our reality works. It's expansion versus contraction. In the springtime, it opposes the fall time. One seed is germinating, the other one's being plucked or taken out. One's being pulled from the vine, the other one's being put in the ground to build something to replace what's been pulled from the vine. And that's the cycle of life. And then the connecting point from house number 10 to house number 4 is you're going to get into some information by, God, I just lost my train of thought with who I was, David Icke. And the Saturn and the Moon matrix. That's because Saturn is in the 10th house. And then the house that's opposing that, just across the way, is house number 4, which is Earth, Cancer, ruled by the Moon. So you have the Saturn and the Moon matrix, 10 and 4. You may have heard, those of you that are truck drivers, you get your CB and you're like 10-4 over and out. 10-4. Talking about on a CB radio waves. Radio means Ra God, radio. That's what radio means. We used to use those walkie-talkies using radio waves. But it's 10-4. that it creates a symbiotic relationship, or I like to call that a Jacob's ladder. And it creates that hourglass. And then the last, it's 10, 7, 4, and then 1, which would be Aries, the ram. And it's those 4 cardinal signs that make up astrology. You get your 4 fixed, 4 mutable, and 4 cardinal. And the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. And that's exactly what the cross looks like when you put it right over the top of the astrology wheel and you got the 4 points. And it's going to move, but ultimately you have Aries, Cancer at the top, which is ruled by the moon, Libra on one of the other sides of the arms, and then at the feet, Christ's feet, Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. Saturn runs the dance floor. Then on the as above and the so below, it's going to be the moon. It's the Saturn moon matrix. How do I interpret Aquarians? Well, I'm an Aquarian / Capricorn. A lot of you, I will encourage you to not only look at your sun sign and your rising sign through the eyes of the tropical / Western astrology, because if you're like me, you're a double sign, meaning if you look at Vedic, if you look at the sidereal, you're going to perhaps have 2 sun signs, 2 rising signs. So I'm a Aquarius sun sign in the Western, February 4th, yet in the Vedic, I'm actually a Capricorn sun. So and then you say, well, which is it? I'm both. Some of you are born on the cusp. And when it changes, springtime to summertime, you're born on the cusp. You're going to be a blend of that as well. And then you have the rising sign. So in the Western, I'm a Scorpio. In the Vedic, I'm a Libra rising. And then those traits come out. So Aquarians are it's an air sign, yes, but it's the water bearer, and it means the one that gives information, which is you're witnessing it firsthand. I'm a second decan Aquarius. There are 3 deacons to each astrology sign. I sit in the very dead center. Again, more neutrality. 2 means duality. I mean, neutrality in the middle of 1 and 3. They form a V-shaped. But Aquarians, we're in the Aquarian age now. It means that the Aquarians of the zodiac right now should be moving forward and taking the charge, taking the lead in this reality to lead up where we're going in this reality. If you feel the urge that you have this idea to revolutionize the world, because Aquarians are all about revolution and not following the beaten path. Like, I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. We need to change. Now, I'm not saying they're the only ones, but I'm saying is that they are known to be the revolutionary ones. They pour the water out into the earth. They give their knowledge. Look at what we have right now. The internet comes in, www. It's the pouring out of the knowledge. In theology, if you're a fan of theology, the Christ said, talking about this, was he said, follow me into the house with a man bearing a pitcher of water. That was him telling you to follow his teachings into Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, from the age of Pisces. Follow me, because that's where we're going. Take what I'm telling you and go into the house with a man bearing a pitcher of water. I think it's Luke 22 verses 10. It's right there. It's astrology. And we're moving into Aquarius, and Aquarius means the no more secrets, which may indicate the golden age. Opposite of Aquarius, house number 11. Those of you that have been seeing the 11-5 or the 5-11 or the 1-5-1, or these are all tied to the axis of Aquarius and Leo, 11 and 5. Now, Leo is ruled by the sun. I've already said that. Or the dragon in the Chinese. And then Aquarius is typically ruled by Saturn, but not since Uranus came into play. So I personally feel that Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. That is the absolute ruler of Aquarius. That's what I believe. Old school, it's going to be Saturn, but they couldn't see Uranus. But was it always there or was it never there? I don't know, but all I know is it's there now. And Uranus is like very eccentric, very like I make up my own rules. You got to find out where my Uranus is in my 11th house. It's in my house of Aquarius, even though I got Libra there. But you can see my traits coming through as an Aquarian and Uranus, and being in the sign of Libra. I got Pluto there as well. Just smashing down the old ways that don't work anymore. They're not necessary. So Uranus has a big play. And if Uranus is the 8th planet, well, it would ideally fit inside house number 8, which is Scorpio and the dragon's tail. And that's opposite of Taurus, the dragon's horns, which is where you're going to get the Bible and the Taurus fields and all that kind of stuff. So Aquarians, very eccentric, a lot of friends that, you're in relationships, you may think you treat everybody equally. Your partner may not like that. So there's a lot of variables in that, but if you just feel like everybody's your soul family, you may have a hard time, giving yourself to one person. You may just be really kind of all over the place. But they are definitely the thinkers of the zodiac, the air sign. Remember that it's always contraction and expansion. So you're going to have introvert, extrovert. When it's February here in the Tropic of Cancer, it's cold, it's wintertime, it's contraction. It goes inward, thinking. That's why when you take cannabis or you do mushrooms, that you go inward. You go in. That's where all the secrets are, inside of you. The kingdom is inside of you. And then when it's time to expand, then those ideas come out of you and you've thought about them for a long time. Then you share them with the world. So you got to go deep inside. And then when you get deep inside, you observe everything, and then you want to expand when it's time to expand. So during February here in the Tropic of Cancer, it's cold, it's contraction. But yet in the Tropic of Capricorn, down in the south where Australia and New Zealand, it's your summertime. So it's expansion. So you're feeding symbiotically off of the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorns. That's how it works. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's just really easy to see these layers and how this, and it's just, the cosmos breathes in and it breathes out. Wax on, wax off. That's what it's all about. It's just ridiculous comedy. Wax on, wax off. Breathe in, breathe out. The cosmos breathes in and then it breathes out. Your Big Bang story is just the cosmos exhaling. And then when it wants it all back, it inhales. And it may just be from a very abstract place. We're inside of a dream and the cosmos is breathing, and the breath that it takes in and out lasts thousands of years. Or in Jason Archaic, it maybe lasts 138 years. It breathes in and then it breathes out. And when it does that, expansion and contraction, it causes disruptions in this reality we call life, and you have all these crazy things happening. And whatever else is involved with that. When are we going to see the portals? I don't know. Just keep your eyes open, be ready for anything, just don't be attached to anything. Because that's where the root of all suffering, as Buddha said, is expectations. And I think expectations put you on either side of the portal. Because the portal, if you look at Tron, the movie, and the video poster, which I showed on my last one, it was got to get to the portal to get out. And the portal was like this light beam going up. In Vegas, you have the Luxor, and those of you that have been there, it's got this light which can be observed from space, supposedly, or whatever that looks like. It's really bright at the very tip of the Luxor. And that light goes straight up, and that's Tron. And that light is the portal in the movie. And that's neutrality to me. You see, when you look at a pyramid, where's neutrality? At the apex, at the top, right? It splits it right down the middle. It's the apex. It's not either side of the pyramid coming down. That's going to be your negative and positive. On either side of that pyramid, that's your symbiotic relationship of good and evil, hot and cold, left and right, up and down, push and pull. At the very top, the pinnacle, it's neutrality. And that's, of course, if you go and study the Ponzi scheme that we're living in, they'll say, oh, the elites, I don't like to say that, but they're at the top of the pyramid. No, they're not. You're at the top of the pyramid if you get to neutrality. And that's where the portal is. The portal, I feel, is neutrality. Because if you come out of the hole into this reality, you're going to feed either this side or that side. Think about what I'm telling you. If you had a hole that you come through into this reality and now you're here, like, okay, well, if I look to my right, it's evil. It's the primal, the dragon. All the sinning's going on. It's dark there. And then if you look to your left, it's all light and rainbows and fluffy marshmallow clouds. And, you can fly away over there. But see, in this reality, you just can't, if you go there, it's nirvana and you just fly away, which obviously a lot of people want to do that, but what happens after that? But in the very middle, if you get to the very middle and you just look at the right at the evil and you look to the left at the angelic stuff, and you can now observe both sides, then you have the perfect scenario to say, okay, where do I want to play? Where do I want to play in this game? Because if you want to play down here in the sin, if you want to go hang out where the devil hangs out, where all satiation and sex and feeding the primal, you go hang out down there. Like, oh, I'm going to go to Vegas for a weekend. I'm going to gamble and drink and go here and go dance and party. And that's all on the dark side, right? That's where you have all the fun. That's where you feed the dragon, the primal, the ego. And the opposite of that's your adversary. And then you have the opposite of the adversary, your ego. You have your spirit on this side, up here on the left. So it's like, some people go to church and they're like, I feel better. Yeah, because you're on this side. That energy is here. I've been to these mega churches. You go there, everybody's smiling, everybody's happy, love this and love that. I mean, they certainly ain't feeding the dragon of them. They're not feeding any of the fire and brimstone. You're raising your frequency when you go to these archetypes. That's what they're designed to do. But eventually, when you leave that scenario, now you're on your own. You got to make the kingdom your own. The kingdom's within you. It's in the very middle. And then you want to be, and the whole key to this, ladies and gentlemen, that I've figured out is you want to be lukewarm. There's a scripture that I broke down in my Prison Planet Part 3. And I feel the representation of what that means, being lukewarm and being spit out of thy mouth. You're spit out of the game. You get into the portal. And it says you're neither hot nor cold. You're neither a demon or an angel. You're out of here. See you later. So you're not playing either side anymore. You're not playing either side of the game. You're in the middle, and then you'll get lukewarm, and that's how you get out of the game. That's how I feel anyway. The movies allude to that, the portals, and whatever that looks like. But being neutral is you got to be slightly alkaline, so that means you got to be slightly angelic. That's what the blood's going to tell you. The blood is 7.3, 7.4, it's pH. 7 is balance, 7 is base, 7 is neutrality. If you go slightly alkaline, you're going to be slightly angelic, slightly service to others, and that's lukewarm. That's lukewarm. And that's how you get out of this game. If there is such a way to get out. And again, these are just concepts and theories of mine. I cannot prove these, but if you just look at the human body and blood and 7.3 and 7 and the pH scale, and then you look at the dark side versus the light side, you realize when you come into this world, I'm going to go be a pastor and, I'm going to work for the light side. Okay, great. But can you actually maintain a neutral standpoint in life? Because if your job is to hammer the devil, you've now created a symbiotic relationship with the dark side by talking about it. Essentially, you connect a cord to the dark side. That's what you do. Because you now need the whole aspect of theology is fighting against something. Fighting the principalities. So when you come into this game and you remove yourself from neutrality and you join something really heavy like a church, and you're like, yeah, the devil's this and it's the bad guy, and you actually, you shook his hand. Hey, let's hang out, buddy. I don't like you, but in order for my beliefs to be true, I need you in my story. Because if you're not in the story, then my story has no merit. So you instantly create a symbiotic relationship with the devil character if you're into that theology kind of stuff. And because of that symbiotic relationship, you've now placed yourself into the game. And you have a symbiote, and you go this way, and you create your base with the pyramid. But when you rise up above and you take both of them and you realize they're going to come to a point, and then you can sit in the middle and say, okay, I see you over there, I see you over there, and I see you got a job to do. Oh, I see what your job is, and yet I see that your job is because of that job, and he's got a job because he's got a job. And it's an angel and demon working it out. It's the white and black, hot and cold, all creating this space called life. And it's all about the positive and negative and the polarization of being a human being. That's just really the best way I can tell all you that. It's so easy to really take in these concepts. And then you not only take these concepts in, but you need to start applying them in your life. And that means you may have to be putting yourself in check. A lot of people, they know these concepts, they see these concepts, they may adopt them as their own, and then they go out in the world and they're like, nah, I want to play over here with the devil. And we all are guilty of that. We all are guilty of that. And it's a gradient. It's always going back and forth. It's a sliding scale. But the more you get into neutrality, the more you're going to have that sliding scale slow down. And eventually you're just going to hopefully get in the middle, be slightly on the angelic side. That's service to others, right? Helping people, not being a dink, not judging people because they're not at your level. Seeing that their level that was once where your level was and making you be more grateful for the level that you're at now versus being like a typical human and saying, well, you're just a sheep. Dude, you were a freaking sheep before. And here you are calling somebody a sheep. That's not being neutral. That's actually being down in the demonic side of energy. You're no better than the people you call a sheep because you keep labeling them as a sheep and keeping them in your existence. When you can just look at them and say, oh, I was once there. Now I'm here. I'm so grateful my life's here. I'm not walking in your shoes. It's not my journey. It's your job to get out of that space if you so choose. And even if that's even possible. I love Neville Goddard. I got his audios on my phone. I listen to his stuff. I go through my spurts. He was great. I have other people that I really love as well. Reverend, I don't know if, here's a guy who was preaching. He was a pastor. His name was Reverend Ike. Like David Ike, Reverend Ike. He was amazing, but he was more like, hey, you deserve all the money in the world. He was a big money guy. But he was just tapping into the energy of the supernatural. He was tapping into the energy that's there for you to use. And he's telling you there's no limitations in your life. You're providing the limitations. And you need to affirm that you have abundance and you have this and you have that. And that takes a lot of practice. A lot of people do the secret stuff. Rhonda Burns. That was the big pivotal point in my life for personal development, was studying The Secret and Rhonda Burns. I became a fanatic of that for many, many months. But it's studying the concepts beyond what she brought to the table in the step 1, 2, and 3. It's much more simple as what she even put it, but it takes a lot of releasing of your past, because really what holds us back is the program beliefs. And essentially, when you look at the white and black, when you come out into this world as a baby, you're pure energy, you're unblemished energy. There's no like cancer cells inside of you if you're born healthy. You're like pure. But over time, when you feed your face and you eat and drink, you start to get bacteria, you breathe the air, it's unavoidable. And then you get to someone who can understand the information, you get indoctrinated by certain beliefs, something happens to you when you're growing up as a kid, you indoctrinate those as beliefs, you create false stories, and those darken you. Every idea that you have, it darkens your spirit. And over time, you get to, that's why I say, be the best little devil you can be. You can't help it. But it's being the observing devil in the middle and knowing what kind of playing field you're on at every given moment in your life. That's what's going to put you on a level of perhaps winning the game. Yeah, Manly P. Hall's great. I don't know if you're asking me this, Malibu Moon. She says, but aren't you judging them and putting yourself higher because they aren't where you are? No, there's a way of judging, and then there's a way of comparing. Like, if it says Gratitude Junkie, I'm observing that this says Gratitude Junkie, right? If I'm looking at somebody that is in a different specific relation to mine, and it's a construct of their life, then you just observe it and you be like, okay, I was once there. There's no marker on that on a sliding scale. We use these to identify where we're at in life. Like if you just use rich and poor, if you're somebody who has a lot of money and you're wealthy and you look at somebody who doesn't, you then define that. It doesn't mean you're a better person, right? But you may have been born poor and you created a massive amount of wealth. And then you're able to look at where you're wealthy and you can look at someone who's poor in the contrast of being rich and poor and be grateful that you were once there and now you're where you're at, being wealthy. So it's not judging, it's just being an observer. Judging is where you're constantly saying, you're a sheep, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. Or just being an evil person and playing down on those lower levels of the chakras. That's where you're going to end up. And if you get in the habit of doing that, you can easily have life suck you in that direction. And then, you could be playing with the devil, if you will, on those lower levels. Cranky Beast 2259. So what do you use the tarot deck for, would you say? Well, I use it to decode reality primarily. I actually can sit down with a deck of these cards and not even say a word. I don't even have to say a word. I don't have to speak any words that come out of my mouth. I just think of and I ask the questions in my head and the cards pop out and give me the answer. How's that possible? If a supercomputer, in the sense, like some people think a supercomputer is like man's sitting there with some supercomputer and it's running over this reality. Well, how would you describe what I say of mankind being used and the whole aspect of like, I'm not even talking out loud. Nothing's listening to me to have the ability to then respond through these cards. I literally talk in my mind and I ask questions and I pull I have a specific way I do it. I pull the cards out without looking. I flip them over. It gives me my answer. And I know it's talking to me. So how do we describe that? Well, these are the way I use cards, and then I use them through numerology and alchemy to define, because we think in pictures, and all these cards, they have little pictures on them. So that's how I use them. I do tarot readings as well, but it reads your now energy. I'm not into like looking, because a lot of people are going to say, well, it's divination and theology says divination. Define divination. Because you see, everything in this reality, I feel, is a script. So how would you be using anything that's against the script when the script's already written before you got here? That to me doesn't make any logical sense. Dunebug, I don't like Greek mythology. Well, just find something that you do like. What do you like? That's what's more important. A lot of us can say what we don't like. What do you like? See, if you just change your perspective, focus on what you do like. And if you were just to do that exercise, if you take your life, if I were to go to your house and say, okay, sit down with my phone or my notepad, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? You get up at a certain time, probably shower the same way, eat breakfast the same way, go through the same routine every day. But what are you filling your mind with and what are you filling the universe with? What's filling you? And if you just use this simple exercise to look at your life, I'll bet that you're probably focusing on a lot of the things that you don't like and reacting to those things. And if you were just to stop doing that and focus on the things you do like, you'd create more of the things that you do like through the natural selection of how the mechanics of this reality work. And then people say, well, if I'm being used and I don't have a choice, then isn't that a choice? Folks, it's a contradiction. But maybe you're supposed to do this. Maybe you're supposed to hear that because your higher self is urging you to do that. I'm just a tour guide. I'm not going to tell you what ride to get on. Nope. Many rides you can get on down here in Wonderland. I'm not the guy to tell you got to go on that roller coaster. But maybe your higher self wants you to get on the roller coaster. So when you're willing to, I feel when you're just willing to surrender and realize that we're being micromanaged, And it's not all doom and gloom, because it's like, well, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to make it the best day ever. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to be the happiest person I could ever possibly be, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. But when I do wake up tomorrow, I'm going to give gratitude to everything in existence in my life. I'm going to start paying attention to everything. Like the next time you cut your fingernails, you ever give thanks to your fingernails? I bet them almost every single one of you. You're not even consciously aware when you're cutting your fingernails. You're off in Never Never Land. You never probably thought about giving thanks to your fingernails when you clip them. Well, I mean, how many times you got to pick a quarter up off the floor and you use your fingernails? Without those fingernails, you ain't picking the quarter off the floor. We use our fingernails for a lot of things. We take them for granted. Every time you cut them off, you should be in the conscious gratitude moment of saying, thank you, fingernails, for being on my fingers. Because without you, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things I do. How about your fingers? Just your fingers. This is the layer of consciousness I feel the world should be moving towards, not asking. Prayer to me is useless. If you're asking for something, that's a waste of time. Give thanks for it. Give gratitude. And never mind asking, just give thanks for what you already have. Acknowledge the things you have in your life that are fulfilling your happiness. And I can't imagine any one of you out there could say, I don't like anything about my life. I would seriously doubt that. I don't even think that's even a possibility. I think every single one of you right here, right now, because of the layer of consciousness this planet's on and why you're here, every single one of you have something about your life that you absolutely love. And then it'll be a gradient. If you write out the 10 best things that happen in your life on a day-to-day basis, then you can go back and circle the top 3. Those are the things that you should focus on a day-to-day basis. The top 3 out of your top 10 of what makes you happiest the most. That's how you get in tune with your higher self. But nope, a lot of people, they'll make a list of 10. The things they do the most, they're not even on their top 10 list. They're like on the second page. And they're doing that over and over, and they're getting fed a bunch of devilish shit. Like down at the lower primal, they're dirty laundry. A lot of you are doing it, and you're not even authentic with it. And I get it, because we're all guilty of that. I'm not sitting here saying I'm better than you, or, I'm literally talking to myself like there's a mirror in front of me. I'm talking to myself. Time is it? 12:30. All right, I'm going to put my timer on. I'm going to read some cards. I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to get to everybody. I'm going to set my timer for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to end this transmission. I got to eat. My watermelon already went through me, and I got a nice salad waiting for me. So let's go to 30. Since today's tied to 35, we're going to do 35 minutes. And like I said, if I don't get to you, my apologies. Try to get to as many people. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set the ground rules now for the cards. I will be just giving you a brief overview of what the card means, because this is a general reading. I don't know what it means for you, but these are very sacred. They are very case specific, and they have a message for you. You only need one. That's it. You only need one to tell you what's going on, and you need to know the first thing that you think of when I say the card or you see the card. That's the message. It may not be the end-all message, but that is probably going to be linked to your message. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, the question is in the answer for you. Like you should automatically know what the answer is. Some of you just ignore that. All right, let's just start this back over again. Okay. Okay. So let's get D348. Let's start with you. D348, here's your message for tonight. And again, folks, whatever card I pull, you're going to type in that card. You're going to type in the card. Let's do one for D348. Here we go. D348, your message is, you got the 4 swords. So if you want to know what this message means, go to your favorite search engine, type 4 Swords, Teach Me Tarot. Go to the first website that you find. I guarantee it'll be right there. There's going to be a slew of messages for you. Read the keywords, read about this card. This card instantly, for me, tells me you should be meditating or sleeping on something. You have a big decision coming up. And this card, and this is the lucid dreaming. Maybe you are a lucid dreamer. Maybe you got to take some notes on your dreams tonight. Okay? Let's get Pamela Swan. Let's get you a card. Pamela Swan, you got the Emperor card. Card number 4, running your 4th house, running family. Maybe you need to pay attention to family. Maybe you need to pay attention to more structure in your life, build a structure in your life. Or maybe you need to take charge of your life by being the king of your castle and saying no or yes to certain situations. 4, the box, Pandora's box, the Emperor. Let's get Luna Long Shadow, a card. Luna Long Shadow. Luna Long Shadow, you got the Queen of Swords. Card number 63, tied to the speed of light. Queen of Swords, Teach Me Tarot. So much to say on this card. I don't know where this would go for you, but it's the Queen of Spades. Card 51, tied to the Jaguar, tied to the All-Seeing Eye. The All-Seeing Eye is tied to the speed of light. Maybe you need to meditate right now and take control of your meditation. Do some creative visualization. Luna Long Shadow. Folks, give me some feedback via email if I did something tremendous for you tonight as far as the card pulls, or maybe some bits of information that you really resonated with. decodeyourreality@gmail.com. Just keep it really simple because I'm not into long emails. Just simple stuff. Christine Yan, let's get you a card. Let's get you a card. Christine Yan. You get the 10 of Hearts, the 10 of Cups, card number 46, which is the ruler of the Pandora's box, if you will. Pandora's box is 9, but then you have 10. So here's this card right here. The 10 of Hearts, Happy Home. 10 of Hearts. Card number 10. Not this card, this is card 46. What's interesting about this card right here is the founder of The Simpsons, creator, his birth card is tied to this card right here. Anyway, The Simpsons, creating that happy home inside the prism. Okay. Multiverse Speaks. Multiverse Speaks. Let's get you a card. Multiverse Speaks. Here we go. Well, you get the 7 of Cups. The 7 of Cups. Tied to the illusion, tied to the game of life. So what kind of illusions are you being faced with? Choices in your life? Make sure maybe you want to think about it. Maybe you're faced with some choices right now. Don't have the woolly pull you over your eyes. Don't fall for the illusion. Maybe someone's kind of trying to trick you or dupe you. So make sure you pay attention to that. A lot of choices in life. And then if you do have a choice that you're faced with, like, should I move? Or the answers are, yeah, of course you should move. You're asking if you should move. Then it's just a matter of where do you want to move to? Should I go on vacation? Yeah, you asked about going on vacation. Your higher self's telling you. It's just a matter of where do I want to go on vacation? So when you get these questions, you just end up switching the word that starts the sentence off. You just like, where am I? Do I want to move? Should change to where do I want to move? Where? And then go have some fun and manifest that. You may not get it right away. I got it. Let's get Billy S. Billy S. Billy S. For you, my friend, you get the Knight of Pentacles, card number 75, tied to the Jack Diamonds card, this is the birth card of the United States of America, which is card 37. This is the free guy, right? This is tied to Lucifer, card 75. Lucifer in the original Aramaic spelling is 75 in numerology. And this card right here is the man in the box. But for the Knight of Pentacles, just go to Teach Me Tarot, Knight of Pentacles, go read about this card. You're going to find a hell of a lot more than I can tell you, but it's card number 75. Maybe the number 75 is important to you. It's tied to the element rhenium, which has an average atomic weight of 185, 186. Maybe those numbers will stand out for you. Just trying to pull out all the specs here. So that was for Billy S. Microwave Homie 21. God, some of you guys have some funny avatar names. Let's get Microwave Homie 21. I hope you don't use a microwave. It kills food. Well, you got the 5th card in the deck, the Hierophant, which is the representation of man and the sun. It's sun becoming man, the sun becoming, as the song by Tool called Numa. He says it's the sun becoming. This is the sun becoming. This is the Pope, and that's you. And so when you have this card come out, it's the 5. So it's your ego. Do you need to put your ego in check, or you need to use your ego? Maybe you need to feed your ego, but maybe you need to take control of your life, because your life is calling for that right now. Control. This card means control. Are you being controlled? Do you need to control your life? Microwave Homie 21. Hope that helps you. Go to your favorite search engine, type in the Hierophant, Teach Me Tarot, and you'll find a lot more than what I just told you there. Colleen Mardian. Let's get you a card. Whoop. Well, you got the 28th card in the deck. It's the 6 of Wands, tied to Lucifer, tied to the sun. This card right here means victory. It's tied to the element nickel. Nickel is the 28th element. That's tied to the word architect. Maybe you need to be an architect in your life right now, meaning you need to build something. If you're in the stages of an idea that you want to go build it, this is telling you you will be victorious. So what are you waiting for? Those of you that have projects or ideas, what are you freaking waiting for? Oh, I don't have the money to do it. Well, go find somebody with some money. You're going to let that stop you? The card of victory, 6 of clubs. This was tied to 1944 and the United States turning the dollar as the world's reserve currency during a Shemitah year. Victory. Tied to 1944. And that whole thing. Bretton Woods. That's it. It was tied into the week they spent there, or the 10 days or something like that. Shit, I don't know how far back I lost. So many people coming in. I'm so sorry. Let's get AJ Native. AJ Native. Well, you get one of my favorite cards, man. I got it right there on my tattoo in my hand. It's the sun, the 19th card. 19 is the battery. This is representing purity. That's why the little baby's sitting on the white horse. Ride the white horse. If you want to ride the white horse. You know that song? That great song? That's the sun. It's the light. The light being, But this is telling you, man, maybe you need to go sun gaze. Maybe you need to get out in the sun. Maybe you don't get enough sun. The sun is free vitamin D, folks. If you're going to go out in the sun, go ground. Put your feet barefoot in the grass, in the sand. If you can sun gaze at a proper time, when the sun's just about ready to go below the horizon, make sure you go read about sun gazing. It's very, very healthy. Maybe you need to go do that. Who was that? It was for AJ Native. The sun, but it's purity. Maybe you need to purify your body. Maybe you need to go on a detox. Whatever. I don't know what's going on in your life. Let's get no such thing. No such thing. Well, no such thing. You got the 8 of Cups. This is the card tied to Prometheus. You're kind of like making man out of clay, making matter out of spirit. This is like going on a retreat, going on an ayahuasca retreat, taking some Cambo or some mushrooms or taking some cannabis, responsibly, I might add. But this is the 8 of Cups. This is going on a spiritual retreat, spiritual journey. It's tied to the cross that a lot of people make on their bodies. Yeah, it's saying, hey, spirit, or it's saying, you're living in the heavens and you're like, hey, I think I want to go down and play the game of life. Oh, there it is. So in this card context, it means going on a spiritual journey. In the as above, it's like, I'm going to go down and play the game of life. For you, maybe it's a matter of maybe you're leaving somewhere. Maybe you need to go take off somewhere. Maybe you need to cut the cord on something. Whatever that may mean for you, but that's the 8 of Cups. Let's get, that was for no such thing. Let's get, Carrie DeCourcy. Let's get a card for Carrie DeCourcy. I'm trying to get everybody, but I know it's not possible because there's so many comments coming in. Carrie DeCourcy. You got the Strength card number 8, tied to Scorpio, tied to Capricorn as well through the measurement of time, but it's tied to Uranus as well. But it's the strength card. And this card right here, when it comes into into play, I think the strength starts at the root, and the root's going to start with your ego, and maybe you need to, put your ego in check. But sometimes this card comes in strength. It's taming the lion, so maybe taming the ego, or at least maybe using it, because this is tied to the number 5. 8 and 5 go hand in hand. The lion is Leo. This is Scorpio, the eagle, controlling the lion, controlling the sun. The strength card. If you need more information on that, just go to Teach Me Tarot and Strength card. I love the Strength card because it's the Taurus field. Maybe you need to create something brand new in your life, have the strength to go do it. Sometimes these cards are very simple, like strength. It's just strength. You need some strength, go own the space of strength. Like, I have all the strength in the world. I have the strength to do this. I have the strength to break up with that person. I have the strength to approach that person and ask them on a date. I have the strength to start a business. Let's get Jane L. Jane L. Jane's been with me for a very long time. Thanks for your support, Jane. Oh, you got the 4 of Swords as well. Wow. Second time. And this is a rest and reflection meditation card, thinking about your ideas in life, thinking about what side of the playing field you're going on. When you lay down and think about stuff, you project ideas, observing your thoughts, lucid dreaming. If you're a lucid dreamer, Jane L., maybe you want to keep track of your dreams tonight. But this is a mental retreat as well. Maybe you need to just take a break from all your processing of thoughts. Kind of just focus on your breath for a while. Whatever that resonates with you. And that's the 43rd card in the deck, tied to the number 14, tied to the box. So it's your box. It's your life. Typically when this card comes in, it's like just observe your entire life. Take notes. Write down your top 10 things that you love doing in your life. And go focus on that. But you do it after meditation, or at least create a visualization, something from that layer in life. Higher frequency. I think did I already get you? No, I don't know. Higher frequency, if I got you already, you're lucky you get 2 times tonight. Let's get higher frequency. And again, folks, if I don't get you, my apologies. I can't get everybody. It's so hard. Higher frequencies, you got card number 65. It's the 2 of Pentacles, otherwise known as the 2 of Diamonds, tied to the 28, tied to Lucifer. This is the juggling of, so you're like right now, you're multitasking and you're doing it well. And if you look on that card, there's the figure 8 in between those 2 pentacles, forming a symbiotic relationship with something. So you're juggling multiple things. Typically, that's what this means. And you're doing well at that, but it's ultimately going to make you decide, I feel, at which one you should pay more attention to. And the way to tell that is what's going to make you the happiest in life. Because you may be doing like the jack of all trades, which is fine. I just stop there, jack of all trades. Forget master of none. Just jack. A lot of you are really good at a lot of things. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, let's get OG perks. OG perks. OG perks. So you get a second time tonight, the Hierophant. Card number 5, ruling the house of Leo, ruling your ego, your personality, ruling your box, so to speak. It's in the middle, collecting all that energy. It's time for you to take control of your life. Maybe you need to say no. Maybe you need to say yes. Sometimes it's the simple things in life. We don't need to overcomplicate these things. The Hierophant is the Pope. It's the dictator. This is telling you to be the dictator in your own life. Take control of your life. Maybe your life needs a little bit more direction. Be authentic, folks. Don't try to no one's looking at your life. No one's here taking notes. I don't even know what's going on in your life. Just be authentic with your life. Don't sweep shit under the rug. No one's looking. Just be authentic. Just own your space. It's totally fine. Let's get Do I think it's Marco Leonard? Do I think it's better not to feed the lower chakras? You can't help it. I mean, if you're a monk, let's just say you decide to become a nun or a monk. You become a monk and you go into the hills of Nepal or Tibet. Well, which side of the game are they playing? Which side of the scale? Obviously the angelic side. And I feel like the true essence of nirvana is the middle. Not having any constructs. If you have constructs of like these ideas of archetypes and gods, and you end up moving to the angelic side, there's nothing wrong with that, but is it that any better than staying in the demonic realms? No, that they form a symbiotic relationship. You can't have one without the other. Not in this reality. Maybe that'll change. But I'm interested in the machinations of how this reality works. We can speculate on what we think is going to happen in the next one, if that is coming down the pike, but we got to understand the machinations of how this reality works. And it's a symbiotic. Notice the word symbiotic is the same as simulation. It's the same as the SIM card you put in your phone. And it starts with the letter S, which is the 19th letter, and 19 is tied to the word battery. And it's the sun card in the tarot. It's just funny. What's creating the simulation? Well, obviously the light. Where does the light come from? So do I think it's better to not feed the lower chakras? I think you want to play, you want to satiate, if you want to make a baby, that's got to be primal. You can't make a baby unless you're using your primal. That's what animals do. They go out and they procreate, they hump, they make babies. They have intercourse. That's what you got to do to make a baby. You got to use the primal tools, which are the lower chakras. But again, there's fractals in all these chakras. So the lower chakra, the chakra that's orange and Taurus and Venus that you use to procreate, it's going to have the 7 chakras inside the orange chakra or the indigo, depending on how you observe it. And it's just going to keep doing the Mandelbrot. It's just going to be limitless. It's going to go down and down and down and down. And it's just never ending. Do I read cards in reverse? Sometimes, but I just think you don't even need to. Because if I pull out a card and I pull out like the Empress card, right? If I pull out the Empress card and I say, see, if you know the cards, then like the Empress comes up and it runs the 3rd house. It runs Gemini, which are the 2 snakes intertwining to form the caduceus inside the spinal cord and the Kundalini rising, and it gives birth to things. Gemini, the 2 twins. That right there alone should, if I pulled this card for you, what is it? You could flip it upside down. Well, I'm not being creative. That would mean it's in the reverse. But in the upright, it would just say it's creative. So if I just tell you what the card means and what it's attached to, the number 3, 3.14, it's pi, it's lithium. Lithium's used for people that have mental disorders, the brain. Lithium's average weight is 6.9. It's tied to the Empress. So when I pull a card, you don't even have to pull it in reverse. Just know what the card means. And then you make the determination based on what the card means. And if you're not feeling the upright, maybe it's the upside down. The flip of that. Let's get ground 1369. Ground 1369. Well, I love this card. It's the card 26. And the house was built and the church was built. You see, this card right here is tied to the word house. If those of you that play in Vegas, the house always wins. It's the house. It's the 4 of clubs, which is mental structure. Mental. Possibly alluding to the fact of we're in a lucid dream. But this card right here means that are you buying a house? Are you thinking about buying a house? Moving houses? Maybe you're looking for more peace and solace at your house. Maybe you're looking to build a house. But this is structure. And the structure is alluding to mental structure. So it's got to start in your mind first. Maybe your mind is all over the place and your mind's telling you, stop feeding it so much. Let's just narrow this down. Let's simplify our lives. And the best way to do that is get out a piece of paper or your phone, write down the top 10 things in your life that you love about your life, and then go back and circle the top 3. And then you'll have a very good guide at what you should be paying attention to create your structure. Like I said, a lot of people, they have dirty laundry and they freaking love it. They love the shit. They love the dirty laundry. They love it. Jack Scoville, like I said, folks, if you guys don't get offended, don't get mad at me if I miss you. I have so many comments pouring in and so many to see, and sometimes it's challenging to get to everybody. Jack Scoville, let's get a card for you. So, wow, you got my birth card. So how funny is this? Okay, so see, these readings are for me too, because Jack means Jack in the Box, Jack in the Beanstalk. Jack is the one there's a fast food restaurant in the United States called Jack in the Box. And it's ridiculous how funny that fast food restaurant is to the song Man in the Box by Alice in Chains. And when I think of Jack, I think of, Jack Diamonds, which is the card of the United States of America. And they say, land of the free, home of the brave. Well, not really. It's more like you're trapped and limited. And it's just funny because Jack, I pulled this card for Jack, and this is my birth card. This card right here is card number 58, tied to the word Puppet Master. And this is the trapped and limited card. What does this mean? Well, it has many meanings, but for you, what does it mean? Well, are you feeling trapped? Maybe you need to cut the cord. Maybe you need to pull the plug on something. Are you limited in the way you think? Are you focusing on something and saying there's no way out of here? Well, that's what this is indicating. And then that's your cue. If it doesn't make you feel good, that's your cue to make the change. Like, okay, I don't feel good doing this. I feel trapped. Okay, you know what? I'm breaking up with you. And that's my final answer. Is that your final answer? It's my final answer. A lot of you want to do that right now. A lot of you that are watching this right now, you want to break it off with your partner, but you don't have the guts to do it. Maybe you don't want to hurt them. Maybe your circumstances, you have no idea what's going to happen. Like, I have no place to go, but I'm miserable, trapped. And you won't do it because you're afraid. That's the fear. See, if you had $1 million in your account, I bet many of you, if you had $1 million in your bank account right now, I will bet those of you that are at least thinking about breaking up with your partner right now, you would do it in a second if you had $1 million in the bank account. But those of you that don't have those, financial positives in your life, you may just be like, I'm going to stay with this person because they pay my bills. Or I'm going to stay with this person because they provide me comfort. And I'm going to put up with their verbal abuse or their physical abuse because I'm afraid that I can't go somewhere else because I don't have $1 million in my bank account. Just giving you guys scenarios. I'm sorry to go off on a tangent on that, but I know some of you, that message will hit you pretty hard. It's like tomorrow's not guaranteed. You're staying in a relationship that you completely despise, yet you're too afraid to leave it because you're afraid, like, what would happen? Well, if you're thinking about it, and it doesn't make you happy, why would you continue to do it? There's always a push-pull. There's a symbiotic relationship with each and every one of you that have a relationship. The symbiotic relationship is with your partner. You form a symbiotic partnership with your partner. And if you're not getting back things in return that you're giving out, well, there's an uneven balance of energy exchange going on. And a lot of you have partnerships that you can't stand, and your partner's not giving you anything. And then you come to the point where, like, wait a minute, I'm dumping all this energy into my partnership. I'm not getting anything in return. Matter of fact, what I am getting in return is heartache and negativity, and I'm getting verbal abuse. But yet you stay there. You love your dirty laundry. Maybe this message is for you. You're trapped and limited, but being trapped and limited and knowing that, and then saying, you know what, I'm done. I'm out of here. See you later. And believing that you're going to have faith in the outcome of breaking that off and deserving to move towards your happiness in your life. There's something, folks. No one is trapped. It's the mindset. Yeah, I know, but the mind rules the body. See, the mind is the control of the body. The body is just like Bob Proctor. The body is the instrument of the mind. The mind gives out its orders and the body moves into action. That's what it does. That's how it works. So the prison is in your mind, yes. All right, Tara 137. Let's get you for a card. Tara 137. Tara 137. I hope this is helping some of you. You know, like I said, these are just my opinions. I'm not saying they're going to be true for you, but if you're authentic with yourself, coming from a place of being in an inauthentic world, being authentic, are you really, truly, can you wake up and say, man, I freaking love my life. My partner is amazing. And, you know, for the most part, and if you're in a partnership, don't be in that partnership to get something from that person. Get it there because it complements your life. Not because you need to be in the relationship. A lot of you are in relationships because you feel like you need to be in that relationship. All right, Tara 137. Tara 137. Let's get you a card. Well, you get the Justice card. Card number 11 in the major arcana tied to the House of Aquarius. And the age of Aquarius is going to be all about justice. That's right. Because when you pour the water out of Aquarius, that knowledge is power. And that's what and then justice comes in. So for you though, Tower 137, do you have a court case going on? Or are you moving towards that? Or is there justice being served in your life right now? Do you feel like it needs to be served in your life right now? Is your scales uneven? Like when you look at that, like is your scales and your sword, are they even? Are you in neutrality? That's what that may mean for you. And if you need more information, Justice Teach Me Tarot, type that in your search engine. I don't think there will ever be an equal give and take. Because sometimes you're going to have good days and sometimes you're going to have bad days in the context of these adjectives that we use to describe life. But, you know, how can you, maybe someday you'll be even, but for the most part, you know, like, how was your day today? I had a shitty day. You may not get the same kind of reciprocation of energy. That symbiotic relationship. Ideally, it would be perfect if it was 100-100. Yeah, I do make it sound easy. Absolutely. I do. But this, you see, when you study your partner, it makes it a lot easier. When your partner studies you, it makes it a lot easier. Because then at least you know what you're going to get to a certain degree. Cranky Beast, Logan, do you love your life because you're single? I have no expectations or attachments per se to my circumstances in life. I love my life right now at this very moment, and I wake up every day and I live in a high state of gratitude, and it just so happens that I'm single, right? But I've contemplated the idea of getting into a relationship and what that would look like, but I don't really forecast much of that because I'm really just doing my thing, and really I'm, being the true Aquarian that I am in the second decan. I'm the whole decoding world and the content. I mean, if I were to get into a relationship, then that energy of that relationship would demand my time, which means I would spend less time doing these live podcasts. I would do less time doing syncretism. I would do less time doing my decodes. And that means you would see less of me. So something has to give. There needs to be some kind of sacrifice. So these are the layers I contemplate. So, ideally, I feel like if you're going to get into a partnership, there should be a symbiotic relationship. There will be no matter what. But that person that you get involved with should not be the sole reason why you're happy. It's your life that should make you happy. And then if they come into your life and they accept you and your happiness, and you accept them and their happiness and everything that goes in between it, then I think you'd have a successful run at being in a partnership. And it's complicated, right? I'm just giving it to you easy peasy, right? And it's not like that. But really, how many times have you gotten into a relationship with somebody and you really studied them before you ended up getting into the dating element with them? No, we don't do that in life. Life is you meet somebody, you're chemically attracted to them, chemistry, whatever, something about them, and then you may start dating, next thing you're kissing, and then also you're on a date, next thing you're humping, and then you're in a relationship. Do you study your partner? I'll bet the majority of people that are watching this, you don't study your partner. You may study their actions and behaviors, but you don't really study the true mechanisms or the true mechanics of how they operate through astrology, numerology, the tarot, birthdays, soul contracts, life paths, all these kinds of things. Personality types, psychology. Yeah, I mean, if you want to have kids, it takes two to tango. I mean, even if you got somebody to be a surrogate or a donor, or you still need the other person. So you're going to have a cord. So there's variables in this. Let's get Zeno D. How much time do I got left there? All right. A few more minutes and I'm probably going to do a collective card pull. You know what? I didn't even have the 5 of Wands in there the whole time. Let me shuffle this. I was going to tell you guys and gals about actually, let me see if I can. I wanted to tell all of you because I was showing you the 26, I was saying the house always wins. I have a decode coming out on this about gambling and slot machines and going to Vegas with $1 million and you got to stay there until you either bankrupt the casino or the casino bankrupts you. Well, guess what's going to happen first? You're going to get bankrupt. You will give all your money up to the house because the house always wins. That's exactly how this reality works. The simulation is the house and it's built on the 4 of clubs, which is the mental. This is building mental structure and which develops the cube. And then after the number 4 is the number 5 and you get your identity, your ego, and you get into the 5 of Wands. This is card number 27. This is huge because this is tied to resistance and fighting. You can see that because when you create your ego and your identity, you start fighting with people and telling them, I don't like the way you do that. This is the card of resistance. It's 5. Right there, and it's mental shark swimming in your brain. It's so, I'm telling you, it's so easy to read tarot when you can just know the numerology. But anytime you get the wands, it's mental. It has to do with the mental. 5 of clubs, it's mental, making decisions based on the ideas that come into your mind. So let's get Zeno D. Zeno D. So Zeno D, you got the Ace of Pentacles, card number 65. This one is a big deal card because this one is tied to the element terbium, and terbium is next to element 64, which is gadolinium, which is tied to the television screen. This is tied to the television, and it's the Ace of Diamonds, the Ace of Pentacles. I was just talking about the 27. It's chaos and order. It's what makes up our reality. It's the gift, the present moment. And this card right here, this is like new ideas for you, Zeno D. What kind of ideas are coming down the pike for you? Are you now supposed to act on a new idea? Maybe a new idea is going to be served up to you, but it's time to pull that idea out of the closet, dust it off, and start to execute on it. The Ace of Pentacles. It's got currency behind it. It's ready for you to activate. That's Zeno D. Okay? I can tell someone's good or bad partner using you mean numerology, gematria. We all use numerology, but I know a lot of people like to use gematria. Gematria is the coding of words into numbers. We all decode because then when you get the number, you got to figure out what the number means or the numbers mean. And that can then move into the science of numbers, which is numerology. That's pretty amazing, polygaming, that you can tell someone's good or bad partners using just numerology, because I've never been able to do that because there are many other factors involved. Once you start to observe astrology, then you're like, oh, wait a minute. Then there's the rising sign. There's the house number 6, house number 7, families and partnerships, and house number 7. Then you get into the Vedic and the Devamsha D9 chart. And so that'd be really, I would love to hear how you do that, but interesting. Okay, so let's get a few more cards. I'm going to get 2 more people, and then we're going to do a collective card pull because we're coming down to the bare wire of my number 35. What's your question transmission? Man, it's been fun tonight. Let's get Last Jedi because he's asked twice. I'm just seeing it. Like I said, folks, I'm trying to get everybody, but I can't, unfortunately. I know you have that, so don't get offended if I don't get you a card tonight. Last Jedi. Let's see what you get here. Last Jedi. You got the 9 of Cups, card number 45. This is tied to Pandora's box. This card ultimately means all wishes and dreams being fulfilled. Of course, what does Pandora's box mean? The cube. It means Earth. And what happens on Earth? All wishes and dreams are being manifested. That's on the angelic side. Let's talk about also the Pandora's box, the official mythology story, which is the shitstorm. the peril and the dismal, and you got dystopian versus utopian. This is more of utopian, but it's the Nine of Cups, and it means all your wishes, hopes, dreams being fulfilled, manifested. What's going on? Do you have a project nearing its end? This is clearly telling you yes. It's a yes. It's also a yes card, saying yes. Yes, man. Probably should go watch that movie, Yes Man, Last Jedi. If you haven't seen that, the Truman, not Truman, but Jim Carrey, James Eugene Carey. Great movie called Yes Man. Great movie because he was always saying no. It's being like Saturn, saying no, denied. And then he turned around and went to a seminar. It was called Yes Man and started saying yes and started to be the sun. The sun's yes, Saturn's no. Contraction, expansion. Push, pull, symbiotic. So fun. Okay, so let's get tropical rat. Yeah, 27. 27 means currency. If you see the number 27, matter of fact, I'll give you an exercise. I will give all of you an exercise to do in your daily life starting tomorrow. Out of everything I've told you tonight, let me give you one exercise. And it's just the basis of observation, the power of conscious observation. And maybe your higher self or whatever that looks like is going to resonate with this and saying, yeah, we're doing that tomorrow. And you got to do it the next day. So for the next 2 weeks, for the next 14 days starting tomorrow, start to look for the number 27 in everything you do. Just like when you wake up, where's that 27? And talk to the 27, like 27, what's going on? So the 27, the reason why I'm suggesting that is that it's tied to the word currency. So those of you that have the Ace of Diamonds card number 27, this card right here is tied to the word Khufu. The word Khufu in numerology is 27. That is the Great Pyramid of Giza. And this is the 27th card. Those of you that are fans of the animal deck, it's the Dragonfly card. The great dragon got hurled down. It's tied to the pyramid. It's tied to the simulation. It's tied to Feed the Wolf. It's tied to neodymium, tied to Neo. So for the next 14 days, just focus, keep it simple. See if you can find an Ace of Diamonds in your life. See if you find one of these on the ground. Like, where do you go from there? But this tied to the word currency. So if you want to level up, if you want to have the currency in your life be enhanced, well, give this exercise a whirl. Give it a shot. Focus on the number 27. See what kind of numbers come your way. If you get a phone number from a telemarketer, what is the phone number? Start to look for that number 27 and do that for the next 2 weeks. See if you find the Ace of Diamonds card, or if someone off, or whatever. Or maybe you meet somebody who's an Ace of Diamonds birthday. If you actually start asking people, hey, what's your birthday? And you have the birthday chart that I've given out to countless people, and you look up everybody's birthday of new people you meet, what if you find an Ace of Diamonds and I told you to do this exercise? Maybe this Ace of Diamonds could be a partner of yours. It could be a business partner. It could be a really good soulmate friend. But because you were told to look for it and it's your higher self and I'm the tour guide telling you to get on one of the rides, this ride, the exercise is focus on the number 27 for the next 2 weeks and see what happens for you. Woo! All right. 27 is currency. 27 is cobalt. Cobalt is chaos and order. Cobalt is used in batteries. It's also used in magnets. Iron, cobalt, nickel. 26, 27, 28. Tied to Lucifer, tied to the Tetragrammaton, tied to the Yod-Heh Vah-Heh. We live inside of a battery, folks. And it's got chaos and order as its ruler. Good and bad. All right, let's get two more, and then I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to do a collective card pull for everybody. So let's get Laura, last one. Laura Lala TV. She got her hand raised 5 times. I would assume that you mean you want a card. So, all right. Yeah, you did it again. So let's get you a card. Laura Lala TV. Some of you have some really interesting avatar names. But second time tonight, the strength card number 8, tied to the Scorpion. House number 8, tied to Uranus. Maybe you need to go study some Greek mythology and Uranus, the father sky, Anu in the Anunnaki story, the father of Enki and Enlil. But it's the strength card number 8, and do you need some strength in your life? It's pretty simple. Taming the lion. Maybe you need to tame your ego. I feel like the strength card is taming the ego, taming the sun with the strength card. So I hope that helps. And if you need more information on that, Laura Lala TV, just go type in Strength Teach Me Tarot, Strength Teach Me Tarot, and you'll be taken to the first website, I'm sure. It's called Teach Me Tarot, and you'll find a whole bunch of great information on that strength card. Okay. So let's end this transmission. I'm going to do a collective card pull. If you've been here, before, you know how this goes. We're going to collectively come together. We're going to tap into the cerebral, which is the whole world. We're going to get an answer from the tarot on a very specific something. Since I haven't done this in a while, I would say that we should focus on the question, what's the most important thing for us to focus on in life right now as a collective? So it's going to come down to one card. I may do past, present, and future, where we were, where we are, where we're going, all tied together. There is no divination because past, present, and future is tied into the now moment all the time. It's always happening right now. So essentially there is no divination because we live inside of a script that's always being played out right now. So what's the most important thing for all of us to focus on in life right now? That's what we're going to ask the tarot. All right? That's what we're going to ask the tarot. And let's get a cool tune to... this is a really good song too, but I'm going to play this song right here. I'm just going to do like 30 seconds of it. The great band Kiss. And this is a song called I Was Made for Lovin' You. So the answer is going to be all about loving you. Like what was made for loving you? It's what you need to focus on in life right now. So let's get this song playing here. So you get your dance shoes on, put your lights on. We're going to have fun with this, right? Because we got to come to a childlike state. We're going to have fun. Becoming like a child again, like no blemishes. What do you want to be when you grow up? That's what I think we need to all focus on. Coming from that childlike state. Like, hey, yeah, what are you going to be when you grow up? Well, I was made for loving you. That thing that you're thinking about that you need to focus on in your life right now and the whole world, it really is going to come down to you. Like, what do you need to do to focus on in your life right now? And then we're all going to think about our own ideas. Please don't think about what you think the world needs to do. This is what do you think you need to do for the world right now to make the world a better place? What is it you got to do? And then I'm going to think of mine, and everybody else here is going to think about theirs. And then the tarot is going to tell us collectively what the generalization of that idea is going to come to. And perhaps tell us like, well, your idea is cool, but this one's going to supersede that. And we're just going to have fun with this. All right, so here we go. Let's 30 seconds starting now. Think about that. All right. This song is so amazing. Especially, I love instrumental stuff, man. I'm like so into more just non-verbage kind of songs. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what you got to focus on to make the world a better place? You, not your brother, not your sister, not your partner, not your child, not your father, not the president. What do you got to do? I'm going to give it one more shuffle. And then I'm going to pull this right in real time. Here we go. There it is. Last shuffle. Last shuffle. There it is. I mean, at the bottom, I didn't even look at what's at the bottom. You know what that card is? It's card 50, tied to In God We Trust. The words In God We Trust is the number 50. 50 is tied to the element tin. And tin's tied to the cryptocurrency called XRP. Not that that means anything of what you got to do right now, but I'm just giving you some things to think about. The King of Cups, it's the King of Love. Card 13 in the deck of the Cards of Illumination of the King of Hearts. So is this telling all of us, no matter what your idea was of what you got to do to make the world a better place, it's saying you got to bring your highest level of love to the world stage. On the backside, let's now get to the middle. We're going to get to the middle and see what the middle of the deck's got to say. So let's get right to the middle. I'm just going to split it, and then I'm going to show it to all of you, so I'm not going to be playing favorites here. I'm going to go towards you. Here we go. There it is. So it's the 9 of Wands. The 9 of Wands. This is card 31. Okay, card 31. Card 31 is tied to today's date. Well, actually, it was yesterday. Yesterday's card on May 14th was the 5 of Diamonds. It was card 31. This is card 31. And 31 is tied to 3.1. This is representing that we've all been through trials and tribulations. This is the card of secrets, holding back the secrets. This is the 9 of Wands. This is mental now. 9 being the endings and completions. The ending of the great wars, maybe. This is what this is indicating. And this is representing the now moment. So what is the most important thing for all of us to do right now on an individual basis? Just realize that you've been in a war and you may be going through it right now. But you know what this card means? It means you will get to the other side. You'll make it. But it's the wounded warrior card. You won't make it without a fight. And what I mean by fight is you're going to end up coming out to the other side, maybe with some scars. And some of you may be going through it really heavy now. So when you take these two cards and you bring them together, at the bottom we had the King of Cups, tied to the number 50 and tied to the King of Hearts, the King of Love. And then the King of Love, through love and the natures of love, we end up getting, beaten, battered, and bruised right there. And then at the top of the deck, the last card, if I just flip that one, right at the top, it's the Moon card. Card 18. You see, the word water, this is so tied to the Christ, because you see, when you go out in the moon on a full moon, it's not going to burn you. The sun will burn you, not the moon. But what's interesting are the tie-ins to the Christ and the sun, the moon, is that Jesus was about the baptism, and the baptism is tied to the water, and we know the moon runs the tides. We also know that the moon god was called sin, and Jesus is known to take your sins away. So is this going to distill you? Does the moon have its role in the reincarnation process? I think so, but really what it's saying when you bring all these cards together, I mean, this is the Keeper of Secrets, by the way, card 18, the moon, tied to Argon, Jason and the Argonauts. And Argon is one half of the Ark of the Covenant. The sun and moon make up the Ark of the Covenant. But this is like the moon, and is the moon going to fall? There's a movie out called Moonfall. Something going to fall from the skies? I don't know. I mean, when you put all these together, see if we can spread them out. That's the kind of the order. This is the King of Love here at the base, and the middle, and then now this is past, present, future, all wrapped up into one. It's the 9 of Wands being through that battle, and then the moon, which is the Keeper of Secrets, tied to the links in the medicine card deck. So it's like, are you going to be given the secrets now that you've been through this war? Are all the secrets going to be released with this moon card? Because the moon card to me represents the secrets being released. And this right here is tied to the 100, the show. If you're a fan of that show, and the book series by Cass Morgan. And I got it coming out with my decode. Matter of fact, let me see how many people we got here. Let's just do a really quick 2-slide sneak peek of my Manly P Hall, my Manly Palmer Hall, Secret Teachings of All Ages, and then I'm going to call this a night. But there it was, folks. Let me just add these up just to make sure that I get these right, because sometimes you can add these cards up. I do it often and get a numbering output on what they mean. But yeah, it's 50 and 31 and 18 is going to give you the number 99. 99 is tied to the Tetragrammaton. The alchemology of the Tetragrammaton is 99. 99 is tied to Einsteinium. And 99 is right before the number 100. And I just talked about that. So there's something, I don't know, my scientific mind, my science fiction mind, and my prison planet and all that, I showed everybody that the moon's tied to the sun, which is tied to Earth. And do we incarnate from this portal? And is there going to be beings incarnating in from this portal? Is it going to be that science fictioning? Are we headed for a battle? Ultimately, it's stay in love. Don't fall for any illusions. And remember not to paying so much attention to the static on the world stage. So let's just, let me just show you guys really quick this before I go. Let me just change this back to here. Okay. So here is the sneak peek of Manly P. Hall, Manly Palmer Hall. And just to show you how he got his secrets, well, it was from Lucifer. And you see, the Secret Teachings of All Ages, which is his book he's most well known for, as you notice, is the number 100. Okay? And when you take 100 digits and you bring it into the string of pi to get another rendition of how this reality works, which I've shown how accurate this methodology is. A lot of you people use this, and I'm grateful that you're using this. But those of you that don't, if you take your outcome and you put it into the string of pi and you figure out what digits add up to what, you notice that, you see, this is where Manly P. Hall got his knowledge from. From the 100. The 100 are tied to the fallen angel story, and it's tied to Lucifer. And you see, Manly P. Hall, in his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, he said that Lucifer is represented by the number 741. And that can be rearranged to the 147, the 417. Notice that the element on the periodic table that is got that 174 is lutetium. And I mean, how comical is that? Is that Lucifer is lutetium? And there's that 174 for its atomic weight. And then the matching of 100 digits into the string of pi is the 471, and it goes right back to that 100. And so we now go to this movie or this show, which was a great show. I'm rewatching it again to pick up some more clues. But this is the story of living on the ark and then being prisoners in the ark and being sent to Earth after it had gotten wiped clean, and then having to re-establish the Earth. And they meet up with the grounders and people that survived. But anyway, in my decode of Prison Planet, I believe it was, I showed the Masonic traditions through some of their graphic writings, and Manly P. Hall was a Mason, that this element, fermium, is tied to that number 100, noticing that fermium through numerology is tied to the 30, and the 30 is the rabbit card, and the rabbit card is Alice, and the story of Alice shrinking down to become a small person in Wonderland. And this 100 has everything to do. So the Secret Teachings of All Ages, where did it come from? Well, obviously this narration is telling you that it's coming from the fallen angels and that whole story in theology, and how Manly P. Hall, the great Mason, saying in his book, Secret Teachings of All Ages, that Lucifer is the 741. It's tied to his numbers in pi and his book title through numerology. Quite amazing, right? I mean, that's just ridiculous if you ask me. And wait till I show you how it's tied to the book where the show came from, through Cass Morgan. And then it's going to be tied. I've gotten a lot of people to ask me, hey, can you decode Lost? Well, guess what? Lost is tied to the 100. Think about the whole show Lost. One of the most popular shows. You're lost. You're a fallen angel. You get lost down here on Earth. It's tied to, and you got to survive. And with survival comes instincts and having to defend yourself, and the ego needs to get used. And it's just funny, the whole thing. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that was my sneak peek of Manly P. Hall Decoded coming out. So I hope that And my microphone is really starting to, okay. So I hope that really helped. I hope tonight really helped all of you out, all in the decoding space, personal development. We talked about some health and wellness. Get over to my channel, Cosmic Sugar on YouTube, and go subscribe to that channel. That's my alternate channel for health and wellness. I'm going to be getting some great podcasts and interviews with probably some psychics, card readers, anything from health to the mystical platforms that I fancy so much. Cosmic Sugar is my channel. CosmicSugar.org is my website. Those of you that are interested in getting a reading about yourself. Anyway, folks, that's a wrap for What's Your Question number 35. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming out here on this great Saturday/Sunday and, sharing some space with me tonight. And let me just get my song that I started it all with. Just this rock instrumental song. Love this instrumental song. I'm going to put this in the description when I edit the comments. Not edit the comments, but at least add in the descriptions of this What's Your Question number 35. This is a Creative Commons song. Just a great instrumental version of what I like to use for my introduction. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank each and every one of you for your support, your donations, your Patreons. Those of you that have done readings for, just all you are great people, man. But it's time to step it up. It's time to level up in life. Stop giving your gas away. Stop giving your energy away. Take it power back and create the life that you've always wanted in this reality called the game of life. So, as I like to say again, folks, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Reality, folks. Until next time, we'll see you later.